All right, so we are going to take you on a journey. I've got a lot of pictures and slides that will narrate a story.
Yeah, we're gonna narrate.
Put together this thing pretty quick, but I think most people here know, but if you don't, we have been in a 32-month battle, 32 months, 958-day battle against the US government. We had a massive federal legal case, criminal legal case, from investigations. We're talking to the tune of 40 different agents from FBI to whatnot, doing everything in their power to put our lights out, and they did not succeed. And so we want to walk you through some of what happened, and I think there'll be lessons that are going to come over like
just the
weeks, months, years, but there's a lot
It
that
was
will
a week and a few days ago, like 10 days ago. So it still
Is it
feels
10 days
very
exactly?
new. Still, it's 10 weeks. Still feels very new. So, but we're going to unpack what we have so far, right? So the title of the class is Leadership Lessons from the Crucible. I don't know if you guys know what a crucible is. Have you heard that word before? Yeah. In the Marines, they're Paris Island. It's a 13 week, 12 week. I was 12, 13, whatever. It's 12. They call it the Crucible because you go through hell and then come back. It's like the idea that you
change
a stone turning into a diamond. It's like you go through. That's what I think a crucible technically is.
Is that what it is?
It's when there's so much pressure on a stone, it turns into a diamond.
Whether it's like, if you like Lord of the Rings, the mines of Moria, like praying the Ring of Power, or there's like obviously diamonds being created. There's Phoenix Rising, for those of you like X-Men, right? I always kept telling Meghan she's the Phoenix, where she will go down, burn in ashes, which she did not like at the time, but then come out as a Phoenix. So it's like a reborn, and the Phoenix is the most powerful of all the X-Men, for those of you who watch. But you don't like movies, that's okay. Not the point. Let me see. I'm going to share my slide. Is there a way to see the audience on that side? So this is leadership in practice.
Interesting, the picture you chose.
I just trying to look for something. Like I Google search like beating the US government and this and that. And so like there was like a whole bunch of things didn't come up right. So this was one. I don't know if it's a rug or if it's a shadow against something.
I like what Kathy's saying about a crucible. It's figuratively, the word refers to a severe transformative test or difficult situation that forces change.
Yeah. So when I think about the crucible, this whole fiasco kind of landed in our world, in our homes, in our life, October 3rd, 2023. So it's almost 3 years ago. And they had 20 different FBI and related agents show up in 10 family homes, coordinated sting operation, 10 different homes between 3 different cities, Boston, New York, and DC. And, Mike Collette had a team visit him, there's a whole bunch of people that just for all different reasons. And of course, the bureaucracy of the US government, despite having access to computers and schedules and everything. Meghan and I were actually not even in New York. Of course, they scare the crap out of our families, and I think that might have been deliberate. But we were in Boston giving a keynote at Harvard University, and it was a pro bono thing. And they came and like Meghan banged on my door October 3rd, I think at 7 something in the morning, because that's when I came to our families. And like, my first reaction was because they were looking for something with Admiral Burke, which was the highest ranking 4-star ever sort of like indicted and convicted in New York, in US history. But we hired him. He was the number 2 of the US Navy. And when they came banging down, like they said it had to do with him. So my first reaction was, did he kill someone? What happened? But we were in Boston and they tried really hard to ask if they can meet us before our keynote in Harvard, to which I actually pushed back hard saying, how do I know this is not spam or prank caller, a competitor? So I challenged them saying, I don't believe who you are. Prove to me that you're real. And of course, they're all shady and iffy and I can't and this and that. And so I pretty much told them to, politely F off and said, we're not coming to our keynote. You're not coming to speak to us during the cocktail hour of the keynote. You're not like, I was like, no. But that's how it started, this horrible thing. And as it happened, the best lawyers in the world told us what you're going through is going to feel like stage 4 cancer. It is going to be life-threatening. You will feel like it could be at any day, any corner. Nobody will even understand, but it is the only explanation is you're going to have stage 4 cancer, and we did not expect it to last 32 months. We did not expect it to go to, how many days in DC we spent, including actually going to a full criminal jury trial twice. And so August of last year, it was pretty much a 3-week trial with like over 1 week deliberation. Then again, we just went end of April into May, 3-week trial and a less than 1 day deliberation. They couldn't convict us last August. It was a hung jury. And we have a lot of explanation of kind of even why we didn't just fully get acquitted. And then this, I guess 10 days ago, we had a full acquittal on all charges. And what we found was not only do these cases never go to trial because the government is so powerful, nobody wins. Just nobody wins against the US government. And in fact, our lawyers were even shocked that we won at the level we did. And when they dug in deeper, any federal bribery charge that has to do with government dollars, picture like outside companies trying to make, money from the US government. If there is a charge on fraud, corruption, bribery, whatever it is, they win 100% of the time. They added a lesser charge of gratuity, which is a complicated thing. Sounds like a tip. Like, when you go to a restaurant and whatnot, it is such a dirty little move that is not actually illegal unless it's within the bribery scheme. And in US history, no person or companies have ever won against the US government in that situation. So we're the first in history. So with that, a tremendous amount of lessons. And one of the key things that we stuck to was the human skill, the human advantage, and applied leadership and decision-making 32 months every day. And then when we're in DC, we're there this trip for 4 full weeks, every single day. Visceral drafting, going through, understanding the psychology of our team, ourselves, our adversaries. And we fucking beat them. Like, not just beat them, but destroy them. The jury, I think, could have decided in less than 2 hours. When they walked out, one of our members overheard 6 of the jurors walking out saying they were pissed. And they said there was 0 evidence against Charlie and Meghan, and we wasted a month of our life sitting in court. And
they said the government has absolutely nothing. We just wasted a month of our life. Yeah.
So cool. This is a picture of us outside the courtroom.
That's my lawyer Reed with the big V, the victory stance. Like, he was so happy. It was that was this moment. I actually feel like I remember it, but it feels like a blur because when we were acquitted, it was like Mr. Kim's messenger, you're free to go. And we walked out, and within seconds we were outside taking pictures. We're going to share more of actually what we did after. Maybe you want to, we can hear it later. I won't share all some of the interesting things that happened, but this is like crazy. This is so from the left to right. Francesca Borgini is an associate from Gibson Dunn. Reed Brodsky is the co-head of litigation, who's my lawyer from Gibson Dunn. They were absolute rock stars the whole way through.
Those guys were like technically Meghan's lawyers because we had to get separate law firms.
So next to me is Charlie's lawyer, Bill Burke from Quinn Emanuel, and then Avi Perry next to Charlie is a partner also at Quinn Emanuel, and then Brett Raffish is an associate there who grew up like through our case. When he first joined Quinn Emanuel, this was like the first big case he was on. So he knows us, he knows every detail of us. He was a huge, an amazing resource, but this is like his first actual trial. Avi also came from the DOJ a few years ago. So it's like their first defense trial was us. Right. No, criminal trial. Right. Was us.
And so just to give you some context, Reed, who's got his arms up, he's the co-head of litigation at Gibson Dunn. So Gibson Dunn is the number 4 litigation firm at a global level. Bill Burke, right in the middle, he is the co-chair of Quinn. So that's the fancy legal term for being co-CEO. of the number one litigation firm at a global level. And so these guys are like big time lawyers. And to give you a sense, Bill Burke, I think, got famous years ago. He's the one who put Martha Stewart in jail. So those of you who love Martha Stewart, okay, so be it. But I think she did do something wrong. But he, rose up. I mean, this guy is arguably maybe the number one lawyer in the world. Just incredible, his skills. But to give you a sense of how rare criminal trials are, federal criminal, so not state level, but like at the federal level where they get to use the full FBI and everything DOJ does, Bill has only had 10 criminal trials, the actual trials. So they win many before, or they plea or settle or whatnot. He's only had 10 criminal trials, of which 2 is us. Because 2 is next show, right? And as in Meghan and I, which is what's insane. His win record is winning 8 out of the 10. So 2 people got convicted in his criminal trial history. 7 of them were fully acquitted and 1 hung jury, which is of course next jump, and us too. So, and they consider a hung jury against the government a win because the government just is so unfair in the process. They win all the time. So, and then he volunteers, tell me he volunteers his time at the state level where people do misdemeanors or you have a gun or you have drugs and whatnot, and he'll volunteer his time less when he became co-chair. But he was saying it's like you study the case in a day or 2, and then you literally just go to court for a day or 2. It's all criminal just to get your practice in because you don't have enough criminal trials that occur. And that his win record is 20 for 20. So, I mean, his point is at that level, you just destroy them. The prosecutors just aren't very good at the state level and the whatnot. So 20 out of 20 winning those volunteering his time. When he was a prosecutor, he used 3 years, I guess he was a prosecutor, and he won every single case. So when he was on the other side, he won every single case. At the state level, wins every case. So the track record of a 80% win, which is 8 out of 10, is just considered unbelievable. Yet my thinking was, wow, so few. And so the reality is nobody goes to trial against the US government. And the ability to do it is not only hard, but it's just they have so much power that they're able to destroy you, whether it's financially, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. So most people eventually have to stop. And then you have to eventually even downgrade your legal side. And I think there's something that we were fortunate enough that both Reed and Bill personally, as they got to know us better, did it almost as a crusade. They discounted rates wrote off most of it. And they said to us repeatedly that this is why they went to law school. This is the reason why they actually are practicing law, to wear the white hat and help, injustice be avenged. And so that was a very cool thing that came from, all the different lawyers. Of course, Brett on the right, he's the young associate. He's like 27 or so. And like, they're all so freaking smart. Like, as in, there's a fun story where, as you prep for trial, right? Like you're going through your background. And so like, there's one point, like, I think Brett, Avi, and Bill were prepping me and like, where'd you go to school, Charlie? Where'd you grow up? I'm explaining Nigeria, this and that. Then I went to Exeter, and then I went to Tufts. And Bill says, "Oh my God, we went to the same school." And I was like, "You went to Tufts?" He's like, "No." We went to Exeter. And so there's fun stories along the mix. But what is interesting about this that we learn only in hindsight is this: even if you're innocent, even if you have an abundance of evidence showing you're innocent, you can't win against the US government. So first, that. The second point we learned, even if you have the best lawyers in the world, you still can't win against the US government.
That's why in the beginning, what happened, every law firm we talked to just said, "I'm sorry." It's like a death sentence. Like it had like a, stage 4 cancer element to it. Most people don't survive. I know cancer rates are going up and everything, but this idea that like most people will not survive it.
I'm saying with the evidence being innocent, not good enough. You have the best lawyers in the world, which we had.
Never know that, right?
I'm saying you can't get better than these guys. And they went all out. It wasn't like they went stingy. They went all out. And you still can't win. That's how powerful the US government is. the real difference maker that added on top of it was leadership, and literally all the skills we have that we applied was the change agent in helping us win fully, make history. So we're going to take you through some of this. This is the crazy
This
part.
is how many days? Actually, somebody in our community had written back saying, I just calculated the time you guys, she did 32 months, but I did the exact date. It's 958 days of this nightmare. And I actually liked what she said. I was like, oh my God, she just read my mind. She said, you basically went to bed 958 nights in a nightmare, but you woke up realizing it's not just a nightmare, it's reality. That's your reality every day. And I actually had people say to me a few times, like, I don't know how you sleep. My answer was, I don't, right? Because you're just having nightmares and you realize, no, it's, and sometimes you'll have a dream that's like a good dream and you wake up thinking I'm okay. And then it would only take seconds before it's like, so it just felt like every day you're, hard to like get out of bed because you're scared, you're tired, you're confused, it's so depressing and scary. So, but the fact that it was 958 days, for us and for our families, actually, I had not processed a lot of this. This is 10 days late. It just feels crazy a little bit, but sorry, even talking to my husband last night, because we haven't really talked in the last few years, just the thing, like how little are we really talking about life versus like this whole thing. And he said to me last night, he's like, I remember crying to your sister, telling her, I'm scared to see Meghan every day. My wife, I'm scared because I don't want to hear what she's going to say just happened or something else that's happening or how she's processing things. I just felt scared to be around her. Like, I don't even want to like almost see her. I felt like that too. I'm like, I don't want to see him and I don't want to talk to him about this either. Right. So it kind of felt like that's like what the relationship has kind of been. I mean, we have moments, but the reality is he's just afraid to be around me, scared. He's like, I want to know, but I don't want to know,
Right.
like, I don't know. What's the next thing they just did to you? Or what else are they getting away with that they shouldn't be? What else is illogical that they shouldn't be able to do that they're doing? Right. Another one. Oh, tomorrow, another one. Next week, another one. Like it just felt like being pummeled, for 958 days. So like that hit me hard last night when he said that, like, because we never really talked about that because he didn't want to say, I'm afraid to, because he's like, I can't say that to you. You're terrified and you're going through it and you're at work every day being traumatized, and then coming back and having to process it and try to sleep. And every morning I wake up and I go to check on you and I'm afraid what you're going to say. I know you didn't sleep, and then I have to ask you how you are. And I kind of know how you are.
Right.
Not good.
But that notion of when someone just the casual thing, how was your day? What's going on?
It's like,
Scared to even ask that question because you don't want to hear the answer.
Right. That's what I think.
I know, and that was literally every day. I mean, we had over 400 motions, paperwork that was filed. I mean, I can't tell you, that's insane. The amount of documents are what they call discovery, which is all the files we have access to, over 10 million pages of information to read through. I mean, and it just kept growing. Yeah. Right. It wasn't like once. It was like, no, they had like, I don't know, like 24 submissions of information that just kept growing and looking for more and more. Anyway,
new batches.
Like they threatened to indict the company, which is like Enron level. They threatened to indict other employees, our investors. I mean, they went nuts looking for every which way to add.
Which, by the way, you indict like Arthur Anderson, which my sister actually worked for when she first graduated college, which is ironic. But you indict huge companies like that have a systemic. Our lawyers were like, this is insanity that they would even suggest that twice, 2 years apart, and actually try to go through the process of doing it. Like, that's insane. That's it makes no sense, but they were trying.
No, and at the same time, Admiral Burke was on the other side of this. Our trials got separated. He got fully convicted. He never even put up a defense. And he's 6 years in jail. And so this guy, his life ended, right? Not only you have to pay back almost $500,000, 6 years in jail, stripped up everything. I think they may have even said it as if he never went to the military. Like, it's a 40-year veteran or something so there's a whole piece on that. But from our side, I mean, they try to get us through every hardship. They try to get us to plea, right? Except 4 years in jail, then try to get us at the very end, 2 years in jail. And like, I remember, one of our lawyers, Reed, talks to everyone saying, what Charlie's response was, I don't care if I go 10 years in jail, but I will not admit to a crime I didn't do and like not fight. So His point was you could get 6 years in jail. You can get upwards of 10. And they pressured us hard, our own lawyers saying, take the deal. It's a good deal. You don't win. And told them, I'm not going to admit to a crime we didn't do. And so we fought, right? And we fought our lawyers, we fought with each other, we fought the US government. Going into some context,
Strategy from the very beginning.
one of the things we said is we will outwork them. That I call them, I was going to say lovingly, but I don't really have a lot of love for them. So let's be honest. I call them DMV lawyers, right? The Department of Motor Vehicle lawyers. I mean,
By the way, we're not going to post this video. I feel I don't
no,
want
post
to.
it.
I think no.
I think we should post it.
Here's the conflict. We'll talk about it later.
No,
Depends
so-
on what we talk about.
No, they tormented us. They use media to trash us. I won't mention any names of the government, but so my thinking is posted. But
No.
we can discuss
This is
that.
where we disagree. We're
Okay,
gonna
so
disagree. We're
so we
gonna
can
discuss.
debate that. But for you
I'm
guys
thinking
here,
we can talk freely, like with
Yeah.
friends, because I think all of you are friends. I don't think there's anybody on here that's actually not really a friend.
but
I really trust a lot of people right now.
but-
so.
now outworking the government, like in this process, we made a commitment to work 7 days a week. We made a commitment that they will not be working weekends. We will work Saturday, Sunday, 12, 14-hour days every single day. And we will find a way to beat them as a baseline outworking.
Yeah.
We actually started investing in heavier in routines. We ended up getting our cold plunge in the middle of all this to get stronger. And we have cold plunge in like 20-degree weather while snow is falling. And as we're sitting there, teeth chattering, my words to Meghan was, they're not doing this. They're not able to sustain pain and, have resilience at this level. And so we were cold plunging. We then invested it in red light, like, infrared sauna. We started rucksacking, which is like walking an hour a day with like 40 pounds and 20 pounds in our backpack. Everything from physical, mental, and just said, we will outwork them physically, mentally, emotionally. And we will find a way to make sure at a baseline, that is something that they will not do better than us.
Show them the first picture. You can see just like, for instance, like where we are in the kitchen right now, like this is pretty much our every weekend, like why this kitchen is like so meaningful to us. Like we can use the big island that you guys are sitting at right now. Like we can lay things out, but we would, come in, we would eat breakfast together. We would go outside, maybe do a little bit of like gardening or composting or just processing or whatever it might be, using the walls.
We would often hit the weekend where we have to read 1,000 pages of legal motions, figure out what's wrong with it to help our lawyers respond.
But actually, the main thing, now that I'm looking at this and thinking about it, the main thing we ended up spending it would be at least from like 12 until 5 every weekend, just getting our psychology right. Because overnight, so much stuff happens. So just to get in sync, what we found is it would take, on a bad day, it would take about 5 hours to get our head in a place where we could actually do the work, like actually start to read.
I would say a bad day was more. I would say
Maybe
an
a full
average.
day, actually.
I feel like an average.
You're right. The worst days
An
would be
average.
Saturday. We wouldn't even be able to truly get into the work, and we would leave it for Sunday because it would take all day to the point where then, and those of you who do the work on the mental side, the emotional side, it's exhausting. So we would often have to leave it to Sunday to get to the actual but then even coming in Sunday overnight, stuff processes, and then we have to get in sync again. Sometimes we wouldn't actually start cranking until like Sunday night, and then you just get in a, you know what I mean? Like you get in the right mode, but not until we got our head right would we actually look at the work. Because if you think about it, every motion, you might be reading a government motion that just makes you feel this big and terrified. Well, if that's happening, you can't think about how to respond, how to help our lawyers. It's not like you're just reading a document. You're reading a document that's about you and your life, and now you have to figure out what to do with it and how to help your lawyers.
It's a document that has literally taken a decade of every digital communication you've ever done.
Yeah.
Ripping it to shreds, and then what's awful is they get to cherry pick.
Right.
As in, they would create a story that takes an email 3 years apart, taking 3 words from one to the next, and then say, and as a result of it, they're guilty. And then they would publish public papers doing this,
I don't know if any of you guys have watched
which is
that.
just awful.
The Netflix series called The Crash. We don't have to talk about it, but it's a 17-year-old girl who kills 2 people in her car. Was it accidental or was it? It was so hard to watch for me because it's whatever. But and I have no idea what actually happened. Did she do it? Did she not? Who knows? She's in prison for the rest of her life. It's horrible. But when I saw what the government did, taking her social media and making a story of her, I thought, this is exactly the part that is so unfair. And again, I don't know if she did it or not. I think we'll never fully, who knows? But they can take things out of context, weave a story, and you can't respond. You really can't. They're allowed to do it. They're allowed to say, well, you said this, but this TikTok thing and this, and look what you said, but that's a trend right now happening. And so she's just doing what the trend is. But they can just make you look like a complete and they made a 17-year-old girl look like a monster. And maybe she is.
I'll give you an example. Like Meghan in 2014 gave a talk around lying, hiding, faking, and talked about how that is something we all struggle with.
I said I struggle with it, which is why I coined the term lying, hiding, faking at the Air Force Academy in front of hundreds of people. I talked about it's been a struggle for me to not feel like an imposter. I succeeded fast, and then I feel like I'm afraid to fail. All this stuff. I went really vulnerable. And the lawyer, Admiral Burke's lawyer, put in one of the motions that Meghan herself says she's a liar and called me a liar in the documents, calling me a liar, inciting my speech.
No, and the government just doubled down.
They doubled
on every
down.
piece.
I'm a liar because I talked about
it's so dirty. It's like
in LA Jeffy. Yeah, I'm a liar. So
criminal reform, even the United States. I mean, that might be another project we add on. But anyways,
different day. So this is my little book. So Charlie had in the early days, we took these little notebooks that we got from some event or whatever. Of course, it says privileged and confidential at the direction of counsel. We learned very quickly everything needs a sticker, so the government can't just come in and take it. But this was kind of like my managing my psychology book. So especially the first year and a half of this, we spent every day. I would have this with me. We would go out to the terrace or up here. And just putting notes in it. But over time, we added stickers because Charlie's daughter, Olivia, is a sticker collector. So Charlie would bring in stickers every weekend. Just the things to kind of help me a little bit. Even the little bunny with the gloves on. I do love boxing and I can be, I can be tough, but it's just to remind me that little yellow stickers is stronger than I think. Charlie would always remind me, Meghan, you're stronger than you think. You're stronger. This thing beat me down to a complete pulp. I literally was I'm done. This is it. My life is over. I spent most of the 32 months feeling like I'm not going to survive this. I'll go to prison and I'll come out of it, but it's going to ruin my life. It's going to ruin my family's life. I just really I spiraled and obviously would have good days and whatever, but these are sort of some of the cute kind of little, and then inside it had a lot of the lessons we teach here at LIP came from coaching from Charlie and just working on my psychology. So it's all in this. I brought this notebook with us. So we had dinner with our lawyers last week and Bill Burke took it. He goes, what is this? It kind of looks like, clippings of I don't know, it could look like a mad whatever. And he starts looking through it and you can see some of the feedback we got from our lawyers about but then I also have frameworks that we taught in here. And then there's just little notes about the case. It's just kind of all over the map. And they were like, this is fascinating. I was like, okay, I'll take it back. I'm going to take it back. It's privileged and confidential. And then Charlie, I think you had yours too.
Yeah. So this was the cover of mine. And, it's funny where
the dad is,
I kind of my wife, Ella, would always joke around that I'm at the cusp of Cancer and Leo. So Leo, I think, is more like a lion and Cancer is like a cow or ox. And so kind of two completely different parts. My birthday, July 20th. I think the change date might be the 24th or something. So it's she always says that I have these two qualities, but then I put the rabbit on because I think one of the things I try to press a lot throughout the whole process was playfulness. I know even sometimes it didn't go as well, but with Meghan, I would joke around that if she actually did go to jail, she'd come out with a Mike Tyson tattoo. Yeah. That giant thing around the eye. Yeah. And she would probably become a music video workout fiend. So she'll be 50 something by then, but now singing rap songs as a white woman from jail with a tattoo coming out all fit. Yeah. And then having her Instagram channel.
It's the look I'm still going.
So I really feel Halloween, you should do that, the tattoo. like a Mike Tyson like tattoo on the face.
Thing I was able to joke about a little bit, trying to make playfulness of a prison situation was I was like, I'm gonna come out completely buff. I'm gonna look like a Rona. I'm gonna be like,
Oh,
I'm gonna look like a Rona. That was the goal.
it's like 100 pull-ups, with
Yeah.
like 2 pinkies, right? Like kind of. So, anyways, and then of course the back of the book. This was the back of my book, and so my daughter had given me these 4 stickers when the thing happened, and peace is never an option. Do it, you coward. Don't duck with me, and then you're not alone. And then I had taken this thing. We got this from Rob Olson, who's in our community. A motto for the Navy SEALs was that the only easy day was yesterday. And I put verses. A lot of people live life sometimes saying the worst day is yet to come.
That's how I live.
And
I'm like, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
And when you're bracing for the worst day yet to come, you operate very differently than when you say the easiest day you had was yesterday. So you're going in every day prepared for a harder day. There's a whole part, this piece in the middle, I think was sent to me by Shauna. And Shauna sent some amazing things, but I love something.
She's in charge of like all the airmen in the Air Force for all their religious affairs. She's a chaplain. So she's very spiritual.
But she sent a lot of stuff. And the pieces I liked, including this one, was this whole notion of in the Bible, it says that those who basically do great work, as in make the world better, they actually are shrewd as a serpent, but they keep their innocent as a dove. That you can keep your purity, but you can also be shrewd and understand how evil works, which to me is that lion versus the cow or the ox. So there's a lot more in there, but then I think this was in the very maybe first few months, my wife Ella, I think it's a Finnish word. So she sent me this and shared it with Meghan. Sisu, I think it's a movie called Sisu or something. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but it means strength in the face of great odds. But more than that, a sort of inner fire, combo of bravado and bravery, ferocity and tenacity, ability to keep fighting after most people would have quit, and to fight with the will to win. It's not fight just to survive, but you're fighting to win. English has no word for Sisu, though closest would be grit. Saw this in my reading and thought of you and Meghan. She spelled Meghan without the H, but it's right.
Okay. I'm used to it.
I think I don't know who this was. Who's LP?
Oh, Liam.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, so we're texting with Liam. He does a lot of work reforming, like kind of young teens and whatnot in prison, runs all these yoga and meditation camps at Rikers Island, a bunch of different prisons, but he's an amazing guy. And so this is what he had texted me. If I were going to go toe to toe with the DOJ and could have anybody I would pick, it would be CK. And I sent him this thing. I had all kinds of images. And one of them is one of my favorite movies, 300, not favorite, but it's a good movie, about the Spartans, 300, army of 300 being able to beat an army of 1,000,000 just in the way they work as a team. And so I texted him saying, this is how I feel and how I am. The Spartan shield, they say, come home with it or with your head on.
Yeah, Charlie would always say that to me, that we don't even want to go home to our family because it's like in this movie where it's like, if you're gonna come home, like come home when you want. Don't keep coming home when yeah.
So I said the shield is meant to protect your teammate to the left of it. And so my reaction to Liam was, I got Meghan, and my spear and sword is aching to strike. I have to spend equal energy calming myself down to be humane to them. And there was a lot throughout the process where I feel like I generally give benefit of doubt, and I could not believe even the DOJ could be this evil. I literally could not believe it. And it took me through the second trial 3 weeks. At the end of it, I was like, holy shit, they are this evil. And it took me to the end of it to even hear the reflections after. Could not believe it. If we had a mistrial, they were told to take us to a third trial. I mean, that's just insane. They have spent in excess of probably tens of millions on a case for, we got 250,000. Like, and what criminal, I don't know if there's ever been a logical sort of argument, criminals losing money, right? That we would pay twice as much to get 250,000. And that just none of it made sense, but they just pressed on. this was a podcast we listened to actually on the way
Yeah, it was
to
really
trial,
on the
right?
way down to DC on the way to our trial. If we need something kind of soulful to listen to as we were heading down. It was really good. And now I can't remember her name, Charlie, but it was a woman who survived the Holocaust, talking about Auschwitz, and finding power within you. I mean, she went through, I mean, complete hell, obviously, and survived. I can't remember the pieces that you colored over, but finding a meaning in suffering, all about meaning making. Remember, we've talked about this, but able to turn it into an opportunity, discover something, finding power within you. Said, I would love to help you discover how to escape the concentration camp of your own mind and become the person you were meant to be. I mean, there's something powerful in that no matter what, like nobody can take away your mind and what you're thinking about and like just still believing in good and human. Just obviously she went through something that, I mean, she watched people being her, I think both
She
her
got
mother,
ripped from sister, maybe a mother.
she ripped apart from her mom. Oh, you know what happened and going into the concentration camp? She was with her sister and her mother, and they asked her, "Is this your mother or your sister?" And she said, "It's my mother." And so then the mother had to go this way, and her and her sister went this way. And if you were an adult, it meant that's a death sentence. And she regretted that if I just said she's my sister, the three of us would have been together. So she watched her mother be killed. And then she was with her sister for years, and they kind of kept each other alive. I think the sister ended up dying, and she survived through it, but she was found with every disease you can imagine and broken bones, her back, but when they did like that long haul, I forget what they call it now, but she was like found in a ditch, almost practically dead.
There was a cool part to the story where there was a part where I think they were giving bread or whatnot, and she just happened to share it with strangers. And so fast forward later, like months later, they had to do some super long march, and anyone who fell and didn't keep up just got left to die.
Yeah.
And she had just lost all physical ability to move. And these two women she had just given a piece of bread to, literally found the strength to like pick her up. And
she was a dancer, and she had to dance for some of the people who were running the concentration camp. But because she did this little performance, they gave her a piece of bread, and she took like two pieces of it and gave it to this other woman who ended up saving her life later. It's just like,
that's cool. But
anyway, that was profound.
We mapped out, and we were doing this. We were, like I said, visceral drafting. We cannot emphasize more how important that is. In fact, it was interesting. I just sent Greg and Weiwei this weekend this thing from Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google, saying Bill Campbell. There's a book called The $1 Trillion Coach. Bill Campbell was Columbia University's football coach, and he was a horrible football coach, but became the coach of the biggest tech CEOs in the world. So Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, the Google founders, I mean, everyone got mentored by this guy. So I had a chance to meet him, actually, Bill Campbell, years ago, but he's passed away now. But Eric Schmidt would talk about how the number one thing Bill Campbell sort of taught him in his routine was basically visceral drafting. Visceral drafting and being able to see what is in your head, and the ability to do that routinely every week is what made the most profound difference in his life. And I shared it with Greg, Weiwei, even Meghan this weekend. And, the reaction when you read the details is, wait, we are like 100x more advanced in having iterated even what that means. And so the difference, we've done it 32 months, visceral drafting every day. But even when we were in DC for 4 full weeks, we were visceral drafting. And one of the visceral drafts that we had in the short window after the trial mapped out kind of like breaking up just not actual days, but think of day 1, day 2, day 3. You hear Jeff Bezos talk about day 1, day 2, that we're always a day 1 company, which is to say always have a startup mindset. So day 1, we looked at as kind of getting behind this. We call it case 1, the trial. Day 2 is focused on recovery. And I'll touch on that a little bit. And day 3 is getting back to business. So they will blend in. They never work quite in waterfall sequence, but to kind of know how to segment and separate. So I'm just going to take you through day 1, which includes all the stuff before this, but kind of more some of the stuff that happened in DC. Just for the sake of documentation, this was Tuesday, April 21. We got there a week before the trial started. This is outside the Amtrak, station. Us with our bags, like packing for literally a month there fully, taking a picture. And then this was exactly a month later, the train station in DC after we won, coming back. So it's kind of sometimes fun to see that.
Best thing ever.
One of the things we did, this actually was a picture we got from Steve Shake. Steve is the 2-star general of the Air Force. He was the head chaplain, or he ran a team of 2,000 something people for the Air Force, taking care of the souls of the airmen. And you think chaplain, you think about being forced to go to church. It's not what it's about. There's such an element of providing guidance, emotional, spiritual guidance, and not religion, but just like you're dealing with the toughest stuff, not only for yourself, your families, people, suicide, and suicide ideation, the most horrible things. And so I love, he flew from North Carolina to come to our trial. And one of the things we did, we had this orange ribbon that everyone wore coming to DC. This is a picture. There's around 70 people who came to visit us in DC, flying in from like everywhere you can imagine, taking trains, vans, buses. This is like around half the group. But everyone wore this pin, and then the government complained that we were making a statement. And so like asked the judge to force everyone to remove it. So, and I love the next time everyone came, they wore like orange scarves and orange shirts and orange pants.
Daryl was wearing like this bright orange sweater. It was so funny.
And so, but I love that, like.
And Aruna wanted to file a motion with the judge, which our lawyers were like, please do not do that. Because we didn't oppose it, because we didn't want to create an issue. So you have to give some to. So
it's almost like the more you try to silence,
appreciate it.
But I love the more you try to silence good people, they just find another way. So suddenly everyone started sending us pictures wearing, the orange thing was showing up on their shirts and their book bags and backpacks and just everywhere. And then we got a picture from our staff meeting where everyone changed their backgrounds, and like there's a part where so it was cute. Kind of what happened. One of the things my family did. So I have a daughter, son, and my wife. They each wrote a note that went for 24 days. They didn't know how long it would go, but compared to the previous trial, they figured it could go 24 days. So every day I was opening a note, and then
it was so nice.
I would read it on the way to court.
And I was like, he's got a girl, a daughter. He was like, Megan, don't feel bad. You have a daughter. I'm like, my boy's been never 3 minutes home. They were like, good luck. See you. Even my brother-in-law sent me flowers. I'm like, well, whatever, it's okay. So it's because he married a really amazing woman. I'm sure she did it, as opposed to him.
I think hands down, it was my daughter Olivia, who's 12, and so she like was the one organizing everyone, getting everyone to write their notes for the day. And so every day I would open it and I would have it in court.
Carmela gave me a letter, so
that's
I
true.
appreciate that. But I was like just reading it over and over. Charlie had 24 letters.
One a day. So we came back in day 18, or no, maybe it was 21. So I opened the last 4 actually with them at dinner at home. But
nice.
But I had it every day in court. And I put it. This is the desk in court, and so this is a letter. Yeah, I did. I know. But let's see. But Lily, am I going to get in trouble after the whole? Is the judge going to get me for taking a picture of my daughter's letter on the table in court? I'm like, go ahead, come after me for that. But she wrote, "Dear Dad, do you remember when you surprised me with the sky dragon? It's what are these dolls that kids like love and the little kids? What's it called?
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's these like, it's a total ripoff. But anyways, there's a sky dragon, super rare. So I found it and got it for her. And then I convinced her I couldn't get it. And then she was shocked when I gave it to her. I was so shocked. I actually didn't believe it. I'm so thankful for it. You're really good at surprising me. You're such a nice dad. Just a reminder, you're never alone. Love you. And I hope you like the chicken sticker. Now,
it said stalker. I was like, what you said? No, he's got a knife in his hand.
But so here's what's interesting. The reason why I have all these stickers with knives is so
probably bird.
no, it's not just birds. I'll show you. There's a lot of others. But so when we met Reed from Gibson Dunn, he would explain that they are so ferocious that they're known for just slicing their adversary. So he would he would talk about slicing.
My favorite thing he ever said when it was the first thing started, we were so scared. This first person who ever made me feel like, oh my God, he was like, we're going to slice them. But it was Brooklyn, kind of like in New York, he's like, slice them. And I was like, say more things like that. Say a lot more things like that.
So then when we met Bill Burke from Quinn. Quinn is just known as, I think if you look them up on Google, they are known to be the scariest law firm on this planet. That, Greg's sister is the head counsel for U-Haul. And she said, if you get a letter from Quinn, everyone's like, ah, shit. Like they're literally known in their brand to be the scariest law firm on this planet. And so Bill's like, no, they don't slice them. We fucking knifed them.
Oh, yeah.
Knifed them like multiple times. Right?
Say more things.
So my daughter picked up on that. So every sticker, they started making their way. And then in court, I told Bill and I put it in front of them, the stickers, every now and then, saying, don't forget what you guys are made of, right? Like, don't forget to like bring out your knives. This is a cute letter from my son, Jackson. He said, Dear Dad, I am missing you. I am so sad that this case has fallen in your life's work. But at some time, I know you're going to war, fighting through the worst possible thing. You are so incredibly strong that in this war, you have grown stronger. You have become a very important person to the world now. It's like you beat the wall of flesh and everything changed. So go and kick ass, Dad, Jackson. Now, for those of you who don't know what Wall of Flesh is, there's a video game we played together called Terraria, which is sort of like not quite Minecraft, but it's like a game. And the first major enemy you have to beat is the Wall of Flesh. It's this giant moving wall of just live flesh that's coming to kill you, and it takes forever to beat it. And so once you do, you're like, oh my God, everything in your life upgrades after beating the Wall of Flesh. So that's the reference to Wall of Flesh. If you want to play Terraria, it's kind of a cool multiplayer game. The fight for resources all the time. And then so
There's a fox.
so after we win, Bill Burke grabs me, like, and he's, we've had many hugs, right? But grabs me by the head and he says, ask your daughter, Olivia, if I can get all the stickers with knives, right? So what does she do? She's like, whoa. So she lays it out and then she's like, how much do you think I could charge her? There's a clear demand for the stickers. So I sent Bill a picture of this saying, any interest? My daughter wants to know first before she starts setting pricing. He ghosted me, didn't respond to that one, but I'm sure I can still convince him. I will give him the money to have him buy it so then I can pay her backwards. Anyways.
I feel like we should all dress up as an animal.
Let's do it.
An animal with the stickers.
Animals.
Good night.
So there's a lot of stickers with knives for little children. So I don't know where that comes from, but like
Weird.
it's a little weird. But like I said, all kinds of animals.
It needs to be among us.
This is a note.
I think Carmela,
Yeah, it says Carmela.
I think this is,
from
Carmela.
Carmela.
Yeah, this is when, it might have been the letter you sent me. I wrote you an email after you left me with a letter in DC. So during the trial, Carmela handed me a letter and then I read it when I got back to the hotel. And I can't remember what exactly the chain of it, all the details, but I said, are you kidding me? This is beautiful in every way, Carmela. Because I think you said, I think you self-deprecated, kind of like maybe it's too much or you can't read it, or maybe you don't care or something. And I was like, you kidding me? This is beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to do this for both Charlie and I. You have a way with words, humor, and depth, and you see me, you see both of us as we are without judgment, pure, true empathy. So I'm so grateful for your support these last few days and months that I've known you and got to know you better. I said, thank you, Carmela. I will be the queen. She said, I'm a queen. You said, I said, I will be the queen you think I am and rise up to this challenge to fight the injustices we all face. May this be the representation and example to help us all gain faith in humanity.
And you did.
So
Yeah.
So I put this in because I mean there's
I feel that
there's a lot of
that we prevailed.
there's a lot of details of how we strategized to beat the government, but one of them was actually Meghan rising up to be the queen,
Mhm.
which is why I put this in.
I would like a crown
So-
whenever we have a chance.
No, we have plenty of crowns.
Just kidding. But the song, we should have Gio do the crown song. You know you hate it, but I think we
Oh, yeah.
should do it tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, right, Kathy?
Crown song.
Remember, put your crown up. It's the crown song.
Oh,
That you
Yeah.
have to like take it and just pretend to put it on.
So
yes.
I took some pictures. This is the day Meghan was getting prepped to testify. I mean, you're talking about
So it was a
Thousands.
last minute decision at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, kind of 6:30 decision-ish. We were at Quinn Emanuel, not at my lawyer's office. This is his team, except for Brett in the back there is from Quinn Emanuel, but it was a last minute decision.
obvious army.
And Avi, I asked him to cross me while I was preparing the direct because he's really good at crossing. So I was sitting in the chair that's closest to, but I went to go to the bathroom. Charlie took a picture, and this was just his team, like on the floor, Francesca, just trying to like create hole punches and binders to figure out what my direct is going to be. So we didn't even have a plan for my direct. So we're coming up with the direct examination, hoping that we could get it done in like 2 hours, 3 hours, but just like sitting down to do that, it wasn't even ready yet. I mean, this was at like 10, I think, that night. I never actually went through the full direct ever with him until I was on the stand.
And the direct
then-
is them, our team trying to prepare you, where usually what happens is if Meghan testifies, Reed, who's there, will actually
Reed asked me
almost
questions.
guide Meghan through
Yeah.
questions. So you get to prepare that. And then the government gets to do a cross, which is now where they're trying to break you down and prove that you're a liar and everything's wrong
Yeah.
and get you to admit like guilt. And then Reed gets to come back and do what they call a redirect.
Right.
And so this is like literally overnight trying to jam thousands to tens of thousands of pages of info, testing Meghan and whatnot.
Mhm.
It was chaos.
It was chaos.
Like, I mean,
It was chaos.
it was just chaos. But there's but the other stuff that happened, which is interesting, is this. I think focusing on people, focusing on leadership was always something we did. And one of the things that we kind of gave permission to allow happen was some of the younger associates to actually get experience. It's their first time actually in criminal trial, but to go and do a direct was the first baseline, and then doing a cross is much harder because that's like doing Q&A.
Yeah.
Like you don't
what's
know
gonna happen.
what's going to happen, so you're trying to fire, attack, and break down the witness.
It's like live. Yeah.
And so Brett was going to do his first cross ever. And so it was a really important one. So you can tell he's nervous. He's not talking, he's pacing around. So to kind of like get him ready, I was like texting him. And so I'm just sharing some of the stuff that I sent with Brett. So I think this was an hour before he went up. I sent him this, I think it was that morning or whatnot, to help your mindset. I'm looking through my saved favorites. And I sent him these 2 images. I think one of you guys, put this as your screensaver too, or something. The first one, high agency people genuinely believe that reality is negotiable. There are always more levers to pull with. It's about having the bone deep conviction that if you keep poking at something from different angles, eventually something will give. So I was sending him that image. And the other one I've always had on my phone I love is that my prayer is that when I die, all of hell will rejoice that I am out of the fight. And so Brett was one of the people who said, I went to law school to fight cases like this. So I was telling him the white hat. This is why you went to law school, sharing these as you think about doing your first cross in court today. So he wrote, love this. Thank you. Now, as time got closer, I can see him getting more and more nervous. So I sent him another text like minutes before he went up and kind of checked with Meghan as well. And this is what I sent. So my notes for you in case we don't connect. My life on the line. I know you have to be nervous. Remind you, Bill, which is the boss, the CEO of Quinn, doesn't compliment a lot, maybe never. The most violent compliment was when I wanted you on our legal team. Bill said that is the best idea you've had. You won't have an opportunity like this in front of the chair of Quinn and an ability to impress. I want you to maul. Don't play safe. Try and impress as if you're on the debate team. My life is on the line. I'm giving you permission to press, to play offense, to take risks. I'm asking you to not play safe. You got this. Wear your white hat and avenge the injustice. Show this to Meghan. She agrees to. So his response right before you went up was, honored to do this. Can't wait to get out on the field. So this is some of the behind the scenes back and forth. Actually, this was my wife sent me after I think she heard BK and Shauna testify on our behalf.
So the ending.
Yes, it was at the end and then before she went up. So this is, and so kind of maybe after the close swimming, she wrote, I said, enjoy the train ride because they're going back on the weekend. Thanks for coming and also bringing so many friends. And then she wrote, they all believe in your goodness. Get lots of rest, my love. You deserve and know you did such an unbelievable job these past 3 years. Know that, Charlie, Kim, you did incredible work. And I'm so glad you got to hear BK. Brian Kelly was the 3-star general, head of HR of the Air Force, come testify on our behalf. Shauna is one of the senior most enlisted people in the Air Force, in the chaplain corps, still active. Bill and Reed both love us so much and work so hard, go all out for us. Bill kept saying to me, I love you, man. She wrote, warms my heart. That is not customary to say.
So like, just so you know.
That just reminded me, it was really interesting because Reed lives in New York like we do. We were there for 4 weeks. We went a week before the trial. And The only time he only came home for one day, basically a Saturday, because he had a Gibson done, like, so he had to go, like a partner retreat he had to go to, but he did not go home. I mean, he was there the entire time, weekends, and
Miss
everybody
Mother's
else
Day,
missed
right?
Mother's Day. I was in his office on Mother's Day, and I was like, Reed, there was a little kerfuffle with somebody else. It was a whole thing, and I was like, Reed, I just want you to know you're the hardest working lawyer we have. So don't let anybody make you feel like, it's Mother's Day. You can go home and see your wife or whatever. And I'm like, we were at his office all day on Mother's Day. Like he worked so hard. There's nobody who worked. I mean, Brett works, I mean, they all work hard, but like Reed is relentless. He would go home at like 3, and his closing, he went home at 3 and got up at 6 to see what we had finished so that he could be prepared and for it. But he got 3 hours max. sleep
Several
that night.
nights associates, I think, did not sleep 2, maybe 3 nights in a row.
Francesca did 2 all-nighters,
Yeah.
like a Tuesday.
Brett would come to court the next day
With
wearing
the
the same suit he
suit.
wore the night before. I mean, it was unbelievable. This is a slide out of Bill's closing statement. That the government literally had no evidence, no documents, no witnesses. They had no contract, but yes, job, and they still pursued. I didn't put all the sheets, but we had traveling war rooms. So the giant sheets. So one of the things, I mean, many things, all strategy. So some of it we could share over time, but this was something we mapped out in detail for all the lawyers to see. You're always trying to refer to a calendar. So the exact trial in August of last year, the blue boxes are when the government presented the case, the oranges when we did, the deliberations and everyone who testified on what happened, all the way then to April and looking at what happened and crossing down the days and then thinking through even how to think of the trial in different phases. The first phase is kind of like when the government presents. The second phase is, so just kind of broke this down and used it as just one of many things. And so we would have,
because you know what, it's so uncertain. You actually don't know how long their case is going to go. They can give you a sense, but there's a lot of objections or other things come up. You don't really know. And same thing with our defense. We think we know when it's going to start roughly, but we don't fully know. And you don't know how long you're going to go. Things are changing in real time. So we did find this very grounding because everything is swirling. And one of the most grounding tools you have is a calendar to just kind of refer to what we think can happen, but then you have to be really open-minded. This may not be what it is, but also compare it to last time. And what was really interesting is last time, and it was very different. There was something very different. And that threw us off the first week in the pre-trial, just prior to the trial starting. It was very different.
and
with the two legal
can I
teams.
say
Trying to figure out why is that so different? What's happening? I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, when we use the term visceral drafting, you'll hear even the CEO of NVIDIA talk about this concept a little bit, other people. Hey, Matthew. The idea of visceral drafting is being able to look around corners. Now, the idea physically, you cannot look around corners, but with more reps and experience, you build a skill. It's called judgment. It's called intuition. You build a skill of looking around corners more accurately, and that is a muscle you have to train. So looking around corners is literally being able to more accurately predict what's going to happen in the future. And if you get that right, you're going to have a massive advantage. And so even looking at the calendar, we're going through on a daily basis, looking around corners, exposing what we believe will happen and the reasons why, and exposing it not only to each other verbally, on sheets, visceral drafting every single day. And you will see, this is what people don't understand enough. In the world of uncertainty today, you can live life assuming, well, everything's uncertain, so I can never predict.
Yeah.
Or you can build a muscle. It is a learned skill. You will get better at looking around corners, and the accuracy you can build. It's never 100%. See, this is where inexperienced people think 100%. And that's why they get blindsided. That's why they get startled. And that's why they kind of lose themselves. They get killed. But you can actually predict percentages and larger amounts. So when something happens, good or bad, the bad, you're ready and able to tolerate it and navigate it without getting startled or whatnot.
Right.
And the good, you can capitalize on it. You can move fast. And so a calendar is just one component of being able to look at what we believe is going to happen, what order. And so if this is the sheet on the calendar, we had the same thing on witnesses, kind of exactly what the government called in what order last year versus what we believe would happen now, and looking at the changing list, because the entire game of trial, especially criminal trial, it's all about surprise. It's all about trying to surprise and throw off the other side. And so everyone is deceiving everyone and is trying to actually take what is already a massively high stakes uncertain situation and make it even more.
Yeah.
So ton of sheets, but one of the key principles that, or I hate to use the word principles, but one of the key themes that we visceral drafted and shared with our legal team, even way before, 2 months before trial, more every day in trial was this, that we're going to lead from our side in the sense of strategy from a people and kind of human first perspective and kind of saying this is a game of battling teams. It's their team against our team. And we have to not only win over the jury of 14 jurors, eventually after the alternates it's 12, but also win over the judge. And so this is a human sport. It is a sport of psychology. It's a sport of actually not only having stamina, but also creativity. And so what I shared with them is this, what great teams do. Anytime they do an iteration, meaning anytime they do anything, even a second time, the difference is 10 to 100x. Mediocre teams, iteration doesn't do shit. You iterate and they end up doing the same shit and they don't even realize it's like the iterations are a complete waste. They do not improve. So the notion of the DMV lawyers are not going to benefit from iteration. Despite all the stats and statistics say that mistrials favor the government because they get to analyze everything that was said from the last trial and then use it to basically discredit you and maybe even charge you additionally for perjury. So they get to use the entire statement. In last trial, I testified for 2.5 days. So they have the entire ability to take every word that was transcribed and then use that where if I'm off by one word, they could try to
Shows
mark
on the
me.
next page
So
where you're talking about that. This is actually his transcript from last time. That is 2,800 pages because of both sides, which means they could cross them on any page. 2,800.
And what happens is this, the minute I step in and testify again in this trial, that entire document goes into evidence. And so even if I have one word that's inconsistent, they can get a jury instruction of inconsistent statement, basically suggesting I'm a liar. And if they get it strong enough, they can literally do another charge of perjury on top. And the risk of testifying is that if you're found guilty, you have to do a 50% premium on the sentence. So if the sentence was 6 years, you do 9 years because perjury is an automatic charge you get. The assumption is if you're found guilty, that means you must be lying on the
I told
stand.
my parents that after I testified, and while we were in deliberations, and my dad looked at me like he had like a panic attack, and I was like, "Dad, I'm not rolling the dice on my life, so I'm betting on myself, and I believe in myself." But it's not free. You don't get well. I'm gonna wing it. Let me see how I do up there. It's like no, if you're convicted by de facto, you lied on the stand.
And so
there you get 50%.
There's many elements. So the last trial I testified, Meghan didn't. And the view is that when there are two defendants, if you both testify, they can now cross you against each other. So it's easier to fight a inconsistency. You only need one.
Yeah.
And if you look at sort of our personalities, one of the assumptions the government had was there's no way Charlie's not going to fight and he's not going to testify.
Yeah, they know us.
They
studied
everything. I mean,
we've ever said.
like they give us a box. You just see one of those giant legal binders. They're like, these are all the texts between you guys that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing.
Legal boxes they bring into like
that. Both double.
There was an entire box of our
saying,
text.
read this to understand because they're analyzing every piece of this. We're like, wait, what? I'm not going to be able to read this. But they're studying everything to tear you down. Because that's how they fight. And that's how that is not actually how they should fight. They should focus on truth, justice, and the American way, but instead it's just win, no matter what.
It's just win.
It's kind of awful, but,
Do you want to
sir?
ask a question?
I was just curious if the government or either side was using AI to go through this.
Oh yeah, Hunt. Both sides. No, not sure they are.
I'm not about the government.
No,
Yes.
they said they were. They said they were. I mean, between
Like, how would they read through all of that stuff?
No, so searching AI, they're using, even Quinn, all of them, AI nonstop, including on a daily basis. As we finish court, we get the live transcript. The AI is analyzing it to look for any strategies and angles. But what we heard from even the best lawyers is you're lucky if you get 10% value. Most of it's junk. It hallucinates, most of it's junk, but it's something it might give you an angle that you don't see. But like searching is something they can totally do. So what happened was this: the government absolutely counted on me testifying. You can almost see if you were there in the trial for the closing. It's like they did a PowerPoint that's missing maybe like dozens and dozens of slides because they had planned to close, assuming that I'm testifying, that they're taking documents from what I said before, and they were going to find me lying somehow or being inconsistent. And so when I didn't, that completely threw their game. There's a whole part of I kind of completely duped them into believing I was going to testify as well. But the other part too was when they were crossing Meghan, the script they were using, I think, was a script for me because they started grilling her not on her education, but my education. Like just started going
He said something about his high school, the ranking that it had, or whatever. I went, yes, it's a good school, but I don't know the rank. I know the stats on the high schools. Like I was like, what?
They were like, didn't Charlie go to one of the best high schools in the country in the world?
And I was like,
she was like, I
it's
no
a
idea.
great school, but I have no idea. It's like the top of the country.
Like I almost wish Meghan.
And I have to be honest, I don't fucking know.
No, but I almost wish Meghan at that point.
An amazing boy. So I went to Sandwich High School. Why are you not asking me about Sandwich High School?
Sandwich High School, where they teach you how to make sandwiches. No, they were grilling Meghan. Like it's almost like they did like 20% of her education, 80% of my education, and she had like I almost wish you said, "Are you going to ask me questions about me?"
It wasn't that comfortable, Charlie,
But no, this was a very hard decision. But throughout the trial, one of the things that we kept emphasizing to our lawyers, mediocre teams get started.
Yeah.
Mediocre teams do not operate well when things don't go to plan. We were even sharing the lesson we learned working with Josh Waitzkin, the number one chess player. One of the ways he beat his opponent, and he's a world chess master, was looking for people's reaction when they go out and it rains, the startled reaction. So there's a move in chess where you can sacrifice your queen. That is something unexpected. And then people who react poorly to being startled, right, who go, like tend to do really badly when things don't go to plan. And so the whole part I kept pushing our team was elite teams perform much better when things are uncertain, when things change. Mm-hmm. So when you're going mano a mano, team to team, run the game with all types of uncertainty, increase the speed, find a way to create more ambiguity and more uncertainty than what is there, startle them. And they will do the same back to us, but we will perform better. And so the hardest decision, probably, we had many hard ones throughout 32 months and up to the trial, was literally probably in a 6-hour intense window. I mean, with the lawyer screaming, saying, Charlie, if you don't testify, you will get convicted. And holding my ground to say, I am not going to testify. And I even told them the minute I step on the stand, that goes into evidence. When Meghan goes in, the jury has to remember it off memory. They don't get the actual transcript.
Yeah. It's
only if you go to another trial. Yeah. And so what nobody expected, even our own legal team, was the agility of Meghan and I. Meghan and I are completely opposite, but people who have known us over the years, we can also completely play the opposing side. The notion that I can go quiet and passive, which I know is a surprise, but it's possible. And Meghan can roar up and be like, give me the mic and no one else is speaking, like, which is not exactly what I always do, but sometimes. And that switch completely floored our lawyers.
That was fun.
Shocked the government.
It was a fun element. And when we walked in and I knew you weren't going, but I was, we were sitting at the table, you could see the prosecutors. Whoever's sitting in the front part of it is the one who thinks they're going up next. It's like they kind of had to like move around. It was like, it's awesome.
But I mean, we not only threw off the game, but one of the things, I mean, every element of high performing teams, increase the speed, increase the uncertainty. I mean, every element of how we operated. And we were more open. We had massive fights and arguments. And I'm like, as we're fighting, I'm writing the arguments up on the wall so you can see who's saying what. I mean, we're just generating difficult discussions and conflict to get our team to crush every eggshell and go in despite every fight and battle on no sleep, going days upon days. Wait, there's another point I was going to make. Oh, the other part was this. I mean, I share this often because we, at the halfway point, we were destroying the government. I mean, all the government witnesses like started to look like our witnesses. Their number one witness they had, their most essential witness, literally cried on the stand when she started seeing how badly the Navy treated us and admitted in court that the Navy misled us, mistreated us. I mean, it can't be any better. And so halfway point, like our team's like, we're basically winning. Let us now ensure we win. And I had shared from the very beginning, even before, one of my predictions around the corner is that we're going to make that mistake. When we're winning, we're going to start to play safe. And you look at every high-performing group we ever worked with, they do not change strategy. When you're winning, you keep playing that aggressive strategy. You play offense. But teams, sports teams will have a lead. And then at that juncture, you know what they will do? They will start to play a different strategy, trying to play safe, trying to preserve the win. And as a result, they blow the lead and they lose, oftentimes taking an adversary who has no momentum. They're on their heels and they give them the breathing room to find momentum. And so I expressed this right from the beginning, every day, had up on the walls as we had these traveling war rooms saying, we need to keep playing offense. When we're winning, we're going to want to play safe and play defensive as opposed to press offense and defense lawyers. They're not so good at that. That is not in their comfort zone. So massive battles.
Do you think, Charlie, because like the two things are opposing? You said, we're winning halfway through, and we were destroying their.
I think their words were, we're murdering them.
Right. No, that was
no, that was Bill. That was Bill.
I thought you said when I.
No, Bill said it after Bill. No. He said it after Gardner. We're murdering them. He said it after Julia, murdering them. He.
Okay, they just you're winning halfway through, juxtaposed with if you don't testify, you're going to get convicted.
That's the best lawyers literally on Tuesday night, the day before Meghan testified, saying, Charlie, you have the experience.
Yeah.
We have prepped you more. If you don't testify, you will get convicted.
Yet we were winning at that point because we did discuss, there was one point where we discussed, we not put on a defense. That's how well we thought we did for the first half. But then all of a sudden it's, if you don't testify, you're dead.
Yes. And
this
so
is where it's like,
there was a lot of difficult conversation.
Part, because I think the reality is the lawyers have to go super like safe in the sense of not take any risk, right? They want to put everything out so they can try to win because it's your life. It's not like, well, I think we're destroying them and I believe we're winning. And so we can rest now. I
don't think of it as they have to. I think of it. So this is what I told them straight. I was like, you are acting exactly based on the number of reps you have done. First, you don't go to trial very often in criminal trials. The defendants rarely testify.
Right.
And everything you've done is used to playing safer. Like the idea that you can't sue your lawyer for playing safe. You can sue when they make a mistake playing offense. Yeah. You can sue when, they always say you can, you never get fired for hiring McKinsey, which is why firms like that make so much money, because McKinsey told me to do it is a great excuse. So even though you spent millions, McKinsey told me to do it. The notion of like managing expectations. Yeah. So my point to them was that is the reps you've had, which is why this notion of playing offense, pressing in the winning window is foreign to you, which is why I believe like you see it as viscerally the wrong thing to do. Now I explained and I did my ladders of inference, explained all the reasons why. And I listened to them saying, pick apart my argument. And what I read was they didn't have a good argument, even though they kept saying you're making the wrong choice and we're the best lawyers in the world. The huge argument at one point where
this is funny. Sorry, can I just interrupt you, Charlie? I like how Richard's saying submariner warfare. This is so ironic because Alpha Berg was a submariner, but
17 years.
Submariner warfare, stealth into the final moment. MM was the submarine. It's like I was like,
love it.
Under the radar, looking like I'm going to fall apart every day, and then I'm like, you can stand. Yeah, but you can stand.
One of the most interesting things, and I feel this is going to be probably, I think, one of the big themes that will resonate in leadership and all the, by the way, we're unpacking all this to build a full training program on just human skills and whatnot. And there's a notion of the human skill of playing offense in uncertainty, which is what the norm is now. playing offense and learning how to play. And you'll see it's so hard to play offense and win that when you start to get a win, you now start to go into preservation mode. You start to play defense almost instinctively.
Yeah.
Versus it's so freaking hard to get momentum. When you have momentum, you need a press. And I see Greg on here, and I don't know if Weiwei's there, but we know we like playing blackjack and going gambling together. We all know this. The only way you really win a lot gambling, and I know gambling is all different, is when you're winning and on the run, you have to bet. You have to bet bigger. And what happens is as soon as you have the win, because most times you lose in the casino, you're so scared now of losing the win. In the window when you have the hottest run is when you actually don't bet enough. And that casino counts on you to do that. So like the people who literally take the house down,
It's on you.
yeah, the people who take the house down know how to press when you have momentum. Now, gambling is different, but there is a lot of interesting similarities of lessons, but playing offense. This was one of the harder, when I say harder, you can't even imagine the actual screaming battles we had stuck to. And I remember that Tuesday night, one of, you can call a friend. One of the phone calls I made that helped me kind of stick to my guns was calling Greg. I talked to him twice a Tuesday night as the lawyers took turns circling around me saying, you are basically ensuring your own conviction, that you will go to jail because of this. And I had to push back, and I explained, and I was telling Meghan too, like one of the first things, and we'll teach this in the as you break down the curriculum, the first thing is to, when you do a body scan, you have to do your own scan, a mental scan. Am I on tilt? Am I actually driving a decision based on my ego? Am I driving a decision based on some brute force thought? Or am I actually calm, thinking about mission and whatnot? So I literally called Greg and I was walking him through my self-scan to actually tell him, like, this is what they're saying, exactly what's happening and whatnot. And like talking to Greg helped not only talk through that, but stick to my guns on what I believe my judgment of the right thing to do is. And I mean, there's many brilliant calls, but that was one of the key pieces strategically that was very difficult, made happen, winning and then winning the trial, right? This is the jury form. I cannot tell you a more scary experience in my life. When you're there, called in the court, you get 15-minute warning that the verdict has been reached. You're sitting in there waiting for them to come in. 12 people walk in. And exactly at that moment, you just want to raise your hand and say, can I just say one more thing? Just one more thing you might need to know about me, because you're about to make a decision on literally letting me continue my life or like ending my life. And boom, like as in like seconds. And all that's rifling through your head of what you want to do. And what was kind of dirty the government did was they added a third count where it was only 2 counts in the other 2 trials for.
So basically
like,
it was if you don't find us guilty of conspiracy and bribery, you move to the third, which could be gratuity. So it was like you can't convict on all 3. It was if you think we did not bribe the admiral, then you could look at this other piece, which is called an illegal gratuity. And
gratuity was so dirty because you actually, there was a whole Supreme Court law that if for gratuity, you can't be prosecuted criminally unless it's within this bribery scheme. And so they threw it in as what they call a lesser charge. They can throw anything lesser. So there was the argument that basically like, okay, so you didn't actually plan a corrupt scheme and bribe, but gratuity is very tricky because after the fact, you can say, well done and give someone a gratuity, and this is a tricky you can say, I'm going to give you a gratuity because you might do something great for me in the future, which is like really hard to prove or not prove.
This is why Reed was telling me, he's like, nobody wins that because everybody gives tips. So every human being in the planet gives a tip.
Or it can be seen as a tip. Anything can be just seen. And so what they threw it in is so that if they're having a debate about, well, fine, I'm holding out, I think they did a bribe, not, and then someone might say, fine, I'll agree with you, there's no bribe, but let's all go home. Agree with me to give gratuity. And gratuity sounds almost like a speeding ticket where you get a warning. So the average juror doesn't know you get 2 years in jail for that.
And remember,
it's a full felon.
And remember, this went for a while. This was, now the jury is giving up so much of their time. I mean, they were so done with this trial. We were hearing rumors. They were like, I can't leave this over, not one more day. They were so done with it. So that feeling of Now they have to come back on a Monday after a weekend and deliberate. Like it's come back out on a Friday. I mean, it ended on a Friday afternoon. And my lawyer said it's the worst time to end because they might want to just take the few hours they have and get it done and not have to come back on Monday. They want to get back to their lives. They have jobs, they have family, they have trips. Somebody's uncle died. It was like they want to get out of here so bad. So that was the real worry, which is there's a few people who are just gonna be like, I want to get out of here. So fine, they didn't do that, but give them something.
And I mean,
That was
the
the
minutes that it took sitting in there, I mean, first, like I'm looking and my own lawyers across the table, they haven't even come out yet and their eyes are red crying. Like the best lawyers in the world are already crying and they haven't even touched the verdict. Family, of course, is sobbing and bawling, right? I think Megan's husband like almost passed out into her dad's
Yeah,
lap. I mean,
he's
it's
telling me
awful.
later. He's like, I grabbed your dad's hand because I was like about to pass them. So he grabbed my dad's hand. He was like, Mr. Macho Man, but he grabbed my dad's hand. And then he said, right before they did the verdict, he's like, I literally fell into him because I couldn't even like watch them say, like, if my wife was being convicted. It was so awful. The other worst part was those 15 minutes of hell. It was like walking a plank, just waiting. But the government was even dirtier. They spent time rallying all the people in the DOJ to come watch them get a conviction. So we sat in like an extra 15 minutes. It felt like an eternity. And I can't even believe the judge wasn't like, where are they? Get the two prosecutors in because it was like
They brought a whole
we're sitting there
audience.
with our families waiting for a verdict after 4 weeks, and this is the second trial. That's dirtbag material.
Mhm.
I don't know. Get in here. You have 15 minutes. We had 15 minutes. The judges, I mean, everything is usually so orderly. It's like if you're not there, once you were in the bathroom, it was like, where's it's like 15 minutes. You have to be in there. There's no, I'm late. So the fact that they got to take that extra time was so dirty. It felt like a fucking eternity.
But it literally is like human gladiator where you're watching someone get like crucified. They brought an entire audience of all their peers to come watch, which was just it's so awful, sickening when I think about it. But so what happens is not first, they read the count, young child, Charlie Kim, whatever, like on the count on the count of conspiracy, not guilty. And Bill, so I'm standing up, because the defendants and the lawyers have to stand up. Bill literally just loudly breaks down crying, like in the first one, because usually conspiracy means bribery you don't have either. And that's the one that has up to 10 years in prison.
And I didn't even hear this, by the way. And just so you know, I read the transcript yesterday of just that closing piece. And right after that happens, he says, sorry, Your Honor, because the judge says order in my court. Bill has to say, I'm sorry, Your Honor, for the breakdown.
This is a number one litigator maybe in the world. He was that surprised. And then, so the bribery, of course, not guilty. And then there's a pause. And Bill had pulled me aside before the courtroom saying, don't tell this to Meghan, she'll be freaked out. You're going to get gratuity at minimum. So he's like, we're going to argue. We're going to try to ask for probation, but it's 2 years and all the stuff. And he gave me all the legal arguments, just be prepared. So I was sitting there. First, when he cried in the first one, I was like, wait, I don't understand. Why are you crying about conspiracy? Like, you told me that one, no. But, and then when he said not guilty on gratuity, he screamed, he bear hugged me to the point where the judge had to get
Someone
him.
smacked the table. It was like very
like the judge ordered him to behave. And so he had to apologize to the court. But of course, you look over, Rita and Meghan are holding hands, shaking because you don't know, she could get convicted on one thing. But of course, this is Meghan's sheet.
Thing of beauty.
And then I think one of the coolest part.
The defendant was found not guilty. It is ordered that the defendant is acquitted, discharged, any bond exonerated. It was such a beautiful.
When the judge at the end said, you're free to go.
I ran out. I ran.
I mean, those words.
I ran out of that courtroom so fast. Somebody tried to hug me in the little hallway in between the two sides in the courtroom. I like barreled through. I'm walking out of this door right now. You can put me out there. It's almost like he might say, excuse me, just one more thing. Actually, no, we need to get here. So I had like, I want to go out of here. Nobody will be back. I want to get out of here.
So
can I share what happened when I came out of the courtroom for a second? Okay. So I come right out and like all the lawyers, my parents, everybody were hugging, everybody's crying. It was like this really surreal moment. And then my thought was, are we going to build a cafe?
So that's coming
up. Sorry. Because what happened was,
I had one where I tried to do an FU, but like they were like, don't do that. So that one's only in my phone. Unless they take it again, but then Belga Cafe. So this is a supposed cafe
But the crime went
where the
down.
crime went down, where we bribed the admiral in front of what is now his mistress or was his mistress.
And his wife.
But we thought she was the deputy undersecretary of the Navy because that's how she introduced herself. So go ahead, now tell us.
So like a week before the trial ended, one of the little breaks I had said to Bill, I was walking with Charlie with one of the breaks, and I said, at some point, Bill, I'd love to hear like how you've become so smart and savvy and so kind at the same time. Like I want to know how you were raised. Like I want to understand you more because I just watched him every day. I'm like, how is this guy so smart and so kind? All this stuff. So I was like, I'd love to. And he leaned in and he's like, I will let you know, and we can talk about that when we win, and we will do it at Velvet Cafe. So Velvet Cafe obviously is where the alleged crime went down, and we started laughing. I think he wanted to make us laugh a little bit. So I come out of the courtroom. Actually, we just kind of acquitted after the fanfare, kind of within seconds. I was got tears in their eyes, and I went, "Are we going to Velvet Cafe?" Like, I was like, "Where are we going right now?" And he went, "This is what he did." He went, "Yes, we are. Yes, we are." I was like, "Let's go." It was like somebody called an Uber. It was like all of a sudden, like Ubers were like and it was like
Just so you know, I
took a
called.
picture and like we jumped in the Uber within like minutes.
There was 9 minutes from court. I called the Uber to Bella Cafe before I even left the courtroom. Right? Like boom.
Yeah,
Like
I did.
So-
I don't know why I waited till I got
No.
outside, but it was crazy.
Megan gave amazing toast and speech, and this I had like nothing to say. I was like totally
And it was the
speechless.
first time Charlie was like, he goes, I don't have any. I'm like, I have plenty. I was like, holy crap. It was
And so when we went, what we did was when we had this luncheon, because Megan and I had to drive back that day to New York from DC, but the Admiral drank 5 old fashions. So what did we do? Old fashions for everyone.
Everybody. Even
I
my
think-
dad, and when he doesn't like that,
Wait,
he was
wait.
like, sure.
My point was we got to drink 5. Wei drank 3, but I don't think we went beyond that number. But yeah, 5 old fashions was the target. Didn't happen, but no, it was a lot of fun. A lot of champagne, a lot of toasting. Then we went to dinner after across the street. A lot of tears, crying, laughing. There were some other pictures where like I think Bill like grabbed me, like he does this thing where he grabs your head, like and just like
Embrace your
5 minutes. He cried straight for 5 minutes,
Yeah,
just about.
thing.
And then in the middle of it, he'll stop and be like, "We need to be men. We need to be men. No crying." And then he'd be like, "Men, men." 5 minutes straight. But no, just amazing pictures. And then
Yeah.
the next day, we came home, and like my kids, like had this whole party celebration. Guilty of being the coolest dad. So which moves to day 2, right? Rehab. And so one of the things that, like, trust me, I got hell for this during the less than 1 day of deliberation with the jury. I started mapping out what this rehab program, called it LTRP, Leadership
And
Trauma
there might not be a
Recovery
rehab, there
Program.
might be prison. So I'm like, stop.
No, and
So you can see what's on my sheet right before we went up because we obviously didn't know. I thought deliberations would last a week. It did last time. I have jury. I went, are they going to go logical or intuitive? And I was like trying to figure out what are they thinking right now? Like, and this is like a 10-day like rehab program for when we win. I'm like, oh.
no, so I started mapping out. And so it's funny. The joke to me was like when Greg and Webbe came down to DC, I was like, Greg, I have nowhere to be positive because like I say one thing positive, I get shut down by all the lawyers. Everything is about voodoo and juju and whatnot.
Yeah.
So can you imagine during deliberation, like we're waiting in the courthouse cafeteria, I'm trying to map out a leadership trauma recovery program, day 1, day 2, day 3, and what we do, and I mean, you can imagine the nasty, like from the lawyers, from, like Megan's side of the family. I think Greg might have been the only one who entertained, but so I started building this leadership trauma recovery program, this notion. Remember, we went to DC, the whole Auschwitz, whatever, the Holocaust survivors, and how important it is because there's so many bad things that can show up and happen.
Yeah.
And so how do we not get our heart filled with anger, hate, revenge, everything negative? Because that is what eventually comes across, like 958 days. I mean, 3 years, I missed my son going from 9th grade to 11th grade. I missed my daughter, like, almost becoming a teenager. I started acting a teenager at 10, but like missed all of it. Like just missed everything. And our own health and own family and all employees and just everything you can imagine, like all just taken away. So of course you're going to get angry. So started to visceral draft this. And I can't tell you, like, it was pretty cool because first day back in the office is we just got to run on a plan that was already half mapped out. or like 80% mapped out. One of the things we did, so we came back to the office on Wednesday and Thursday. Danny helped us reserve one of the best restaurants in New York. We took the partner lawyers and their spouses, there's 10 of us. We ended up having a 4.5 hour dinner. And just like giving toasts and speeches, and like the spouses, Meghan's spouse and my spouse gave the best speech, and just had a
actually. I just pulled it up. Can I read it to you guys?
yeah,
what he
please do,
said?
please do.
Actually, you see on the next page, because if you want on the next
This
page,
is the way Meghan.
when Mark all of a sudden got, so just so you know, I had no
Read it,
idea.
read it. It's so good.
I had
It's so good.
no idea, because we always in our leadership, we always do like a toast, say something, kind of ending it. And I had nothing. I was still kind of like, I can't believe we're here and whatever. So
It's like after 3 hours after
all
dinner.
of a sudden,
So-
Mark gets up. And this is what he says. I was like, I had no idea. Didn't tell me. He said, I just want to take a minute tonight to thank this team for what they accomplished. And this is me crying while he was holding on to read. I just want to, we didn't sit with our spouses. We sat like across. We moved chairs and mingled a little bit. He said, I just want to take a minute tonight to thank this team for what they've accomplished. It's hard to even put into words. My boys have always loved superheroes, especially Avengers, and still do to this day. So this is how I've been thinking about it. Every great team needs its heroes, and somehow we got the Avengers. Avi, you're the Hulk. And he was like, don't you dare call me Ant-Man. Avi, you're the Hulk, because when it came time for the fight, that switch flipped. On cross-examination, you were powerful, intimidating, and impossible to ignore. You broke things open, you forced the truth into the light, and yeah, you could scare us all at times. He's cute. Bill, you're Captain America. Steady, composed, unshakable. No matter what was coming at you, you had this calm confidence and clarity that grounded everything. You stood for the truth, and you brought a level of presence and strength that everyone could rely on. And Reed, you're Spider-Man. And this one means a lot to us because Spider-Man is my son Matthew's favorite superhero. Yeah, everybody just kind of, he's like, and just like Spidey, you've got this unbelievable energy. You were relentless, tireless, always digging. But more than that, you connected and you made people listen. You made them feel. And at the end of the day, you were Meghan's lawyer. You stood next to her. You fought for her. You protected her when she needed it most. He said, together, you weren't just lawyers. You were a team that brought strength, heart, and conviction when we needed it most. You gave Meghan and Charlie their lives back. You gave my boys their mom back. When you gave our families a future we were terrified we might lose. And I also want to say thank you to Brittany, to Julia, and to Meredith, Ella, and I know exactly what it's like to have your spouses away for days and weeks. So thank you for supporting them, for standing behind them, and for making this kind of work possible. We'll never forget what all of you did for our family. So from all of us, thank you. So I was just, holy shit. I read the other day, was like, your spouses. And he was like, I was taken aback. He's like, I couldn't believe how profound they were. Like, they just like, I don't think anybody expected it. Our lawyers were kind of shocked, like almost like, yeah. He was like, it was unbelievable, incredible. It was like hanging on Reed. I mean, when we left the restaurant, Reed was like, he looked at me again with like this big smile. I actually sent him a picture yesterday of his biggest win as a prosecutor. When we met Reed, the New York Times article, I had looked him up, said trial animal, and he was like on the front page of like the New York Times for winning this huge case. And he was obviously like 20 years younger and this big smile. And I remember thinking, we would meet with Reed like a lot, and just looking at his face, he always looked so stressed, because it's like he's taking our lives so seriously. When we take a bathroom break, he's so seriously devoted to us. So I always had like this goal of like, I want to see him smile. I want to see him be happy. You know what I mean? Because like, I'm not happy. He's not happy. I want to see us like happy. I always would like daydream about like the day when we can like maybe see him have a drink and like celebrate something. Because it just felt so serious and intense all the time. And I sent him yesterday a picture of him on the front page with that big smile. And I was like, Reed, like, getting to see you that happy is like, I waited for that day. Like, I just want to see him fucking happy. And so I sent it to him and he's like, you did. But when we came out of this restaurant, we were leaving and I was saying goodbye to him and his wife. And he looked at me and he grabbed me. He's like, we did it, Meghan. Like, we did it. And it's like, I was thinking about before I testified, he looked at me. He's like, I can't do this, Meghan. He was like, I can't protect you. He's like, this is really scary. He was scared. And I remember being like, I remember saying to him, I didn't cry. I was like, Reed, I can do this. I trust you, and you're gonna guide me, and you know this case in your bones. I know in my bones, like we will be okay. We are gonna do the best we can. He's like, I can't protect you, Megan. Like, if this goes south, you're gonna have 50% more time. And I was like, Reed, I know. And like, I trust you. I trust you with my fucking life. So let's do this and stop talking about not doing it and stop talking about, let's just do this. You know what I mean? And I was like, get in here and crush it. And he goes, Megan, we haven't even done your direct. I think it's more appropriate for you to wait. We go through the direct. And I was like, we don't have time. So in between, while you're getting papers shuffled, I'm not wasting time. Like, just start. And Avi just launching at me. And it was like how we got ready. I was like, we're not going to talk about it anymore. But just to like, he grabbed me. He's like, we did it. Like, we did it. And I was like, it's like such a, because he's been so good to us, but he's just been so like desperate to get us our life back. Like, I don't know if there's any lawyer like him. He's desperate to get us our life. Like, his passion and his relentlessness, like him in front of that jury at his closing was all hard. You can't script it. I don't think anybody in the world could have done what he did. He went in front of that jury and he showed he believes in us at a level where I don't think anybody could possibly do any better. I mean, he came off this, I said, Reed, because I testified and then it was his closing or whatever. And I said, Reed, there is nothing more either one of us could have done. We left it all on the table. And even if this goes wrong and my life is practically over, I will not have any regret. And that is like the best feeling. My biggest worry is I would have regret of what I could have, should have done. Not that you still don't, little pieces, you wish you said this or that, but I was like, there's nothing either one of us could have done anything more, completely everything on it. So awesome.
In the same dinner, I don't remember all the
Yeah.
pieces of my wife's speech because she just kind of winged it. But the part that I think that hit me the most, that made me cry, was that she was talking about kind of watching for 32 months, me and Megan, how we didn't lose our minds, how we were able to stay calm enough, but also like stay good, like kind and good and helping others. And she thought we were absolutely insane and crazy. And she could not believe that side of, we talk about the PEMS, like doing every element of the PEMS all the way to spiritual, helping others. And she was like, I just thought they were like losing their minds and insane and not focused. And like she has a lot of anger and all that stuff from even the thing right now, but hopefully the LTRP program will help her as well. So we built that to help the families as well. So great vacations coming up and whatnot. But then on a totally different note, like, so we have a terrace on our 9th floor office, and usually we're out there every day. So like nothing really, like, it's always bothering. Well, came back, and because we were not there for 4 weeks, pair of seagulls, like literally built a nest because it's like nobody's there.
It's a great
And so,
spot for babies.
So I named the seagulls Gully and Sully, and the eggs are Easter and holiday, which Megan thought we should call one of them egg, but
Easter and egg,
but I thought Easter holiday. So.
Fine.
But anyway, so they are gonna be there like 4 to 6 weeks as eggs, then another 4 to 6 weeks once they hatch. So every day, like I've been feeding it, as you can see, salmon and whatnot. They eat anything. So today I gave it like scrambled eggs and some fruit, and only as of yesterday, I think we have become friends. Where they no longer bark at, I mean, they're like scary.
They're scary.
They go up in the air trying to peck at you. And so I've like
They're loud.
I've done the same back at them. And so eventually the stand down has now led to when I play music, they kind of settle down and they go and sit on their nest and hang out and not bark
And
at.
Laura asked what kind of music. She's like, classical or what? I was like, no, I think it's a little R&B.
But,
little
but
90s
no,
R&B.
they seem to like R&B. And my goal, that you set goals in life, is to get to a place where I can pet them and have it eat out of my hands, but we're not there yet. As of yet, it's still like, so this morning I literally had a little bit of an argument with them saying, we're still not friends. I've been texting Megan every morning, we're still not friends. Just like, and I was like, no, with Gully and Sully, they're still angry. And then of course, Aruna, like Charlie, not guilty, Megan, ...
Me and Megan. It's just the way she did the pie. I think it's just not guilty was too big to put at the bottom. Yes, I was tracking with you over.
I didn't know it was a subliminal message, so there's no accidents, right? We know from Kung Fu Panda, right? And then I'm sharing this other piece. It was in my sister. I think after the whole thing ended, my sister sent me a text saying, like, there's stuff above, just how angry as she sat through and thinks about what the government did to our lives and the fact that they had no case yet still managed to torment everyone. And she didn't know what to do with her anger. And so I sent her this image that I had on my phone saying, never seek revenge. rotten fruit will fall by itself. And I said, I read this often during this whole 32-month period. And one of the things that is such a hard lesson to learn, and it's harder to, all these great lessons are so much harder to practice. In theory, it's like, yeah, that's great. Try to do it in real life when you get tormented and, but one of the key things I've seen, and I fight, it's a struggle to do this right always too, is that when you get anger, revenge, hate, and you go and, go to them. So you get your revenge or put the bad individual, put them out and whatnot. The amount of energy and the amount of time, even the amount of money it will take, and you will literally be back to zero. Like you might feel satisfaction for a hot minute, and then you'll realize, shit, I gotta not go live life. And all that energy and time could have been spent creating, building, making something great. And instead it went to make myself feel better, right? To get someone who hurt me hurt. And it doesn't do anything besides that hot minute satisfaction. And then realizing, well, now I am at zero and I got to build. And so if you're able to find a way to get to this place where you can park some, and even if you do something, because sometimes there are people that are bad, you got to take action so they don't do more bad stuff to you. But if you spend the energy instead on once again, visceral drafting, we've talked about even the training, there is an order. We say, park your fears and frustrations. In the same way, park your revenge, and then go work on what you want to do, build, make bigger, greater first. And then when you're done with that, go look at what you want to do with your fear and frustrations. Flip the order makes a world of difference. So a lot of training will go into a sequence of this. But I'm just going to give you a couple more things really quick on back to business. We started doing day 3, perks of work, leadership training. So a couple of things. One is July 18th, we're going to hold a 3-year belated 50th birthday party for myself. And then I think someone wrote, like, is there a statute of limitation and how we can hold your 50th birthday party when? So July 18th, which is Saturday, the team that we hired to run events, for those of you who are newer, you've never seen an event run by this group. They're so freaking good. They will turn this office into something you will not believe. They've done it into like remember the whole
The haunted house.
that they did the haunted house. I mean, to the point where you've never seen something more scary. They literally hire 10 actors to freak you out while there's like fake robots and actors. You don't know which is which, to the point where they did like a New Year's Eve where it was like the whole place looked like snow, right? You're walking through like, right? And 1,000 balloons above. And then what was the one we did like the Halloween with the Queen of Hearts, or what was that? Oh, yeah, Alice in Wonderland. I mean, so I don't know what the theme will be. If you have ideas, feel free to throw our way. My wife's sister who flew from Australia was saying they should everyone dress up as criminals, but that was not such a good idea, I think. So I ixnayed that one, but like great Gatsby theme. We're thinking pool party theme, but we'll come up with something. I think Kathy wanted a drone show. We'll do something amazing. But it was a way to kind of combine that along with thanking the people who supported us through it. We're going to do something with our clients as well. Rich, I'm hoping from London, if we gave you enough notice, you could come over. We'd love to see you in New York, but kind of everyone else around. So if you're interested, shoot us a note, because I think we're also going to add a lot of our clients for Business One. What's been amazing is this, through 3 years, I mean, this was absolute nightmare hell. And the thing that should have happened is not only should we have been financially bankrupted, that was absolutely part of the strategy of the federal government. We had 12 subpoenas. That alone, each subpoena would have cost $4 to $5 million in legal fees just to review. I mean, there were so many elements of trying to bankrupt the company. We got debanked, as in our banks basically said, I don't care if you have money, we will no longer bank you. So we had to shop and beg banks to actually take our business, where we couldn't process payroll nor even accept payments unless we had. I mean, I cannot tell you the nightmares we went through in this process to not only fight, stay alive, but one of the things that has been most amazing is this. Greg stepped up at a level that, I mean, Greg's, best friend from high school. We went to high school together, and I have wanted him to step up at this level, going so far back. And in the time when we needed it most, after we got arrested, Greg fucking stepped up. I mean, he fucking just killed it. Like, he grew more than I've seen ever in such a short window. He like just adopted every leadership principle, built it into his routine. He found a way to learn how to vibe code. He literally drove something that we could never do with hundreds, like 250 engineers, the brightest out of MIT could have built. Greg drove it as someone who had no engineering background. Top 30 mobile app for e-commerce in the Apple App Store in US and UK. Over 1 million downloads already. He not only stabilized their business, saved every aspect of clients who were going to leave. Remember bribery, right? We're literally going to trial on bribery. You know, our biggest firms are like JP Morgan Chase, B of A, the biggest finance firms, Goldman Sachs. They have clauses when any vendor is associated with bribery, they drop you like a hot potato.
And all that on top of it, he testified in both trials and had to testify in the grand jury, which
I mean,
is totally terrible.
And so he went, upgraded his human skills, learned how to vibe code, teach classes on how to use AI, built like a 1 million plus downloaded e-commerce app, and then actually grew our revenue. In the last year over year, we grew our revenue 2 million year over year, which is fucking insane.
Yeah,
To like literally be on trial, and every client should have run. Everything should have fallen apart. The banking should not have happened. Greg went, he learned how to fight auditors. He learned, I mean, literally superhuman shit.
Yeah,
that literally
Reed had said that it's remarkable that not you guys didn't fall apart mentally, physically, emotionally, your business. The fact that your business grew through this, he was like, I've never seen that in the history of all the people I've defended. He's one of the top lawyers in the country.
Before we went to trial, we took Reed and his wife out to dinner. When I told them what Greg led and did for our company,
he was
Reed started crying.
Yeah.
He literally teared up. He could not believe in the middle of one of the worst things we were able to grow. So what we're also going to add into this is, so Friday, Thursday, Greg's pulling together a summit. I think we're calling it the Human Advantage Summit. So this was the note he said. So we have the biggest clients. I mean, literally Google, NVIDIA, Tesla, like Goldman. I mean, the biggest of Fortune 1000 are clients. So we're going to create a 2-day workshop. Maybe if some of the community members want to help volunteer and help, like that'd be a way to kind of sit in, but going to bring in some of the top people in HR and have workshops and lessons on leading humans in the age of AI, developing young leaders who want to focus on high school, college, new grads, because they're having challenges. And how do you integrate? Do you even hire new grads now? But also they have kids. They're worried about what do my kids do and how do they grow? Building community in today's companies. And so all the stuff we've done, HR roundtables. So we're starting to pull together. We're going to have like our clients speak. I think Jeff Staple, who's one of the hottest hip hop brands, he wants to come and kind of showcase how to train like hip and cool into young, you know, like high school and college kids as well. We're going to bring some of the coolest stuff, and then it's going to lead up to a party on Saturday. So that's one of the things we're doing. I pulled this up really quick because this is today, the 28th. The next lip class we'll do actually is the 11th. We canceled first Thursday next week, so that class and stuff won't happen. But we'll have regular Thursdays. We're having Thursdays every week. It's like kind of going to church. My mom does not cancel Sunday. We don't cancel Thursdays. So for those of you who are worried, that's not happening. And then I don't know when we'll be teaching LIP because of the LTRP program, the Leadership Trauma Recovery Program. There's a couple different trips. One of the things we are huge fans of is also recognizing and rewarding the top leaders that are growing. So I think on Friday, we go for an offsite to Miami, and then we stay there for a little bit and then go to Vegas. And some of the people are coming to celebrate in Vegas with us. But two leaders who have grown, besides Greg and Weiwei, through this actually was Kathy and Olivia from the Chinese community. So we wanted to, kind of recognize them and appreciate them. So we're flying them to Miami with us tomorrow for the weekend. And we're going to a special place with a 50 Cent concert. So, we'll be maybe like 5 feet away from 50 Cent. So if you want to spit on him, you could, Kathy. Like if that's kind of
A dance party.
or a dance party. Yes. Oh, yes. So it should be a lot of fun and relaxing, and it's something that We like to see people grow and it matters a lot to us. And then of course, what's happening in July, we'll do a lot more stuff, but like we're going through the day 1, day 2, day 3, and it's kind of moving fast. But then I wanted to share you, it's the next slide's a little bit messy because it's my
Maybe
notes.
before you do, I just want to say, because
Sure.
I can see Greg like wiping his eyes. I don't think I've ever seen him cry. And I was like, I can't wait to see you, Greg. 'Cause
Besides
I've been,
pork?
I didn't see him
Burger?
crying before because I was a fucking train wreck and my family was a train wreck. So I didn't see that. Sorry. But I was just thinking like, I don't, I have my little notebook and stuff like that you guys saw with all the weird stickers and stuff like that. But I was thinking like, it made me reflect on like the weekend we were arrested was like the hardest weekend and just that whole month. And like, I flew down here, didn't leave our side. And it's like, that feeling of like, you just feel like a leper. It was just the most humiliating weekend, and then it just continued, obviously. And then I was thinking, like, Charlie and I, the outwork 'em strategy we had, and worked every weekend. And at some point, Greg and Weiwei just started following suit. And I don't know if it's like to be like with us so we wouldn't feel alone, but there was like those last like 6 months of it. It felt like if we were here and we needed to talk something out, we could just call Greg and Weiwei too. And it just felt like less alone. And like, I don't think you understand, Greg. And I know, I don't think Weiwei's on the call, but I don't think you quite understand. I don't even think I fully unpacked it either, because I think I blocked out a lot of stuff. And so like, even just looking back at some of the notes and calendars and stuff like that, I even got my phone back this week. I just turned it on for the first time yesterday. It totally freaked me out. 'Cause it's like,
3 years
it
ago.
was like 3 years ago. It was the day we did the Harvard thing. And then
It's like frozen in time. It's like
frozen in
COVID when
time,
we
and
went
it's
back
like
there.
super weird, and it kind of put me in a weird headspace. And I'm like, I shouldn't do that. I should feel empowered, but it's like I kind of don't because I haven't processed stuff fully yet. But just like how awful, whatever. Looking back at stuff, but some of the positive memories I have is like Greg being there for us, and like it just matters a lot. And so like Greg and Weiwei, we're also going to go on trips and everything as part of this.
We built an
training, 'cause it's like,
LPRP program for Greg and
the idea
Weiwei.
about working them. And I do feel, Greg, for you, like taking all the leadership lessons and like, I feel like I didn't fully learn a lot of it in an intense way until I testified, to be totally honest with you. Like,
Megan was doing the crane on the stand.
But I think,
Literally,
what I was gonna say is I think Greg going first in some ways and learning it. Like I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder, like everybody's life is easier right now. So of course you can figure this out. I can't because I'm just planning on prison and what's gonna happen to my kids. And I just was in such a bad space. So like,
And the tattoo, of course.
and the tattoo. So I just feel like watching you go through it, Greg. I mean, we can talk about it in Miami. I look forward to like processing all of it because I kept saying to my husband, he's like, "You're gonna leave, you're gonna be gone for an hour," and he's like, "You're looking forward to it." I was like, "I am," because I feel like I need to process a lot of stuff with the people I went through it with, and like I need to do that because I'm not fully there at all. It's only been 10 days, but I can't quite. I feel like I'm not fully in my body yet. It's weird. I have like some dissonance in my. Because it feels like a dream, kind of.
But one of the cool
But
things
anyways,
that
thank you, Greg.
that I feel like almost 2 years ago now, Greg and Weiwei, I mean, they're coming from Boston. They
Yeah.
started building a routine every month to come to first Thursday, but come by Wednesday, stay until Saturday, and would hang out Friday evening just in case we could have dinner. And we were so stressed many nights. We're like, I'm sorry, I don't even want the pressure. We can't, and they would just hang out. And then at some point, we built a routine of going out like Friday evening when they're here, and we'd be working with them and just furthering leadership and discussions. And, no, it was
painful, right? It's a sacrifice. There's some Friday nights. Like I haven't seen my family in weeks, and I just want to maybe go home and have an hour before the kids go to bed. And instead, we would go to dinner with Greg and Weiwei. It felt like the right thing to do because you guys are sacrificing, but it was also hard, right? Probably, I'm sure it was hard on you to not be with your family, and hard on us to not be with our family. But I do feel like it's a big part of what got us through. I mean, Greg testifying in the trial while building the business. I mean, the day of jury deliberations, he's visceral drafting the business, and I remember thinking, doing that right now because I can't think about anything else. And I know he's not the defendant, if you will. So I get that's a little bit different, but he's scared too. And this is his life too, in the sense of the business and what's going to happen. And he just put his head down and was visceral drafting and sharing it with Weiwei. And it felt good because it was like, that also shows that his responsibility, but also like the forward moving thing. So I remember that was going on the side as I'm writing. Is the jury using their head, or are they like logical intuition? What are they doing? And just kind of in a panic. Yeah, it just, you can't make that stuff up, right? That's like real serious, like hard stuff to do. So
it's all right. I mean,
anyway, sorry. Go to the biz. Go to your last slide.
Right. So last slide. I just kind of from my notes and whatnot. So I'm just gonna. This is only 10 days back, so just kind of not even full 10 days back because it hasn't been many days. But I'm just giving you some of the stuff and thoughts, and so I'm just gonna read off just is more for my benefit. But I just pasted in something for my notes and then kind of thoughts on the wall. I just had Megan type rapidly as I was writing stuff. It was interesting because this weekend I haven't really hung out with my son like for 32 months. So this weekend we like kind of did cold plunge, sauna, and talking, and he was asking me like, kind of, Dad, like, when it comes to like, like high school kids, like what advice do you have? Like what's going wrong? And, how do you fix it and all this stuff? And I was telling him, I bet you they have the same issue that I'm seeing adults have, which is, I'll tell you what part of this page if you're trying to read everything, but I was telling him, like, I bet you the challenge they have is that they're unable to formulate their own opinion. Before they read something, before they get advice, before they take feedback, before anything, they are unable to formulate their own point of view. And that is something that you need to work harder than ever to be able to learn that muscle before you go and get advice. And so, meaning there's so much noise coming in, nobody knows how to even think nor express their own opinion. And he was like, yes, that's exactly what he's like, you're describing perfectly what nobody like, in school and everything, like nobody knows how to. And then he instantly mentions Ezra, which is one of the artists that we know, professional artists. And I guess Ezra had said this to Jackson separately, so I wrote this in my notes. And Ezra said when he's creating a painting, he locks the door. He wants to make sure nobody is infiltrating his creation. And then even when he starts to show it, he's so careful who he listens to. Like, and remember, a painting is actually never done. You can just keep drawing on it. And the longer you hold it, they keep adding layers. And in fact, entire paintings, if you actually see most professional artists and you took a needle and peeled in, you'll see there might be 10 paintings underneath. And they're completely different. And so feedback only after you're done with that first version. And it was just interesting, kind of instantly, that's what came to mind for him. So I feel like with Ezra and artists, we can create a parallel training to that. And then separately, I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, and it was the All In podcast, a couple other things. And this guy Karpathy has talked about a lot. He's pretty young, 39. He was the head of the self-driving at Tesla. And now he's like huge into AI and everything he's doing. But there's a couple things, the idea of creating next jump fellows, kind of creating a movement on kind of this human advantage, or, what we said.
The human advantage, yes.
Yeah, like is that what we call it?
Yeah.
But because I think it's kind of battling of, no, it's not about human or AI. It's the human first and then AI as a tool. But this guy Karpathy and everyone's talking about this idea that what AI is doing, it's recursively self-improving. It's a continually learning machine. And so, but one of the insights as I was listening was that none of them are building what we have learned, and why Harvard said we're the #1 learning organization in the world, that if you want to be a great learner, you have to also learn the skills of unlearn. And so all of the AI algorithms right now are just focused on learning. They're not focused in parallel building an unlearning algorithm. So one of the projects in the bottom right I have is actually working with some of the biggest companies building AI to build and work with them in building an entire unlearning program built into their actual learning AI algorithm. The other part is about this human-centric AI, accelerated learning. Should we slow down or no? There's a lot of discussion. Should we slow down the advancement of AI? And I think generally it's too late. Like, it's already out there. If you're not doing it, someone else is going to do it. Some country's going to do it. But I like this little notion. I can't remember if they said it or I wrote it down, that AI is like a child genius without the experience to have right judgment. Knowing right from wrong, good from evil is something it's unable to do, but it's a child genius. So now the separate thing is I have in the very upper left, the lawyers given our case is insane. It's the highest ranking military officer ever convicted, dealing with all kinds of like Navy gruesomeness, FBI. I mean, it's insane working with the best lawyers in the world. They're like, you need to write a book. You need to go on podcasts. You need to make a Netflix series. It's too short for a movie. So maybe like an 8 or 10 part series. I mean, we know Oscar winning movie makers, obviously Lip, keynotes and everything. So we started making a list of podcasts, and I even put all the way down to Mark Brackett, who we know really well from Yale. He's been inviting us to speak on his podcast. So there are elements of that we I think are going to explore as we settle down on this kind of like LTRP program first. And then I put other,
Right, emotions did play a big role, right? So it would probably fit in terms of his, I'm not thinking his podcast is all tied to emotions, but.
but you know, the part I put over here, get our community help, and whether it's social media or kind of this movement, what's hard to understand is what our life has been for 32 months. If I took like a wedge, it's like saying it points down, meaning like we had a fight against just the end of our life as we know it, our families. And so that's what's at risk. And if we win, we're at zero. Most people, most times, the wedge is the other way. If you work and invest and do stuff and it doesn't work, you're back to exactly where you are. You're fighting for the upside. And yes, burnout occurs from investing for the upside and achieving nothing. 32 months, we didn't get to focus on the upside. In fact, every discussion in any part of the upside, the lawyers would get pissed that like you're not taking seriously, that your life is at risk, you're stage 4 cancer, even planning or thinking about anything beyond just surviving cancer, you can't do. And so that wedge shift, and I think there's a huge part of us figuring out kind of like the shift in mindset on this. And then on the upper right, LDMT, there's so many elements of unpacking the key magnified elements of the human skill that we applied here. I said high agency is an aggressive sport. It's not a passive sport. Same thing with Ezra on the art. To be able to formulate your own opinion, you have to learn the skill of keeping out noise. Aggressively saying, I don't need advice. I can't tell you after the trial. I mean, hundreds of people, like, so forget about thousands writing us and texting us, hundreds giving us advice of what you need to do next. And I love this little phrase, like even like we're talking to Meghan, like about like, you know, we just did the impossible. We beat the federal government
Exactly.
after 32 months.
Yeah.
So you think I want your advice of what to do next? How about, wow, amazing, right? Like amazing, you did amazing, right? Congratulations. Then I want to give you advice. But I say this in a semi-nice way. Everybody around us wants to give you advice. We're surrounded by every human being who's got an opinion and advice for anything you want to talk about. You have an issue, I have advice, you know, and everyone. And so that's noise. And I say noise in the sense of how do you build a muscle to shut out that noise so that you can develop your own point of view? That's the VD, visceral drafting, and then look for advice. And so that sequence, if you don't build it, you lose the human skill.
Right.
Defense, offense, that's a whole component. Learning how to play offense in uncertainty is a totally different sport than learning how to play offense in certain situations, right? Certainty and everything much easier. It is very hard to understand. Momentum is what matters and traction. So there's a whole thing there, right? How to do it. And then routines. How do you generate the right routines on a weekly basis that generate high agency, that actually feed into strengthening human skills? So we have notes and mappings of all this that we're breaking apart to teach and train down into like, you know, all the pieces we're doing. So stay tuned for that. You want to cover the college recruiting bullet?
Oh, yeah, this is kind of inspired from the last week of our trial when it was the most intense, working with the Gibson Dunn Associates. I was like blown away by how hard they work, but also how smart they were, how fast they were able to use AI. It was like my first, it's like when you really we're building the closing, we need to get this done. It's 2:00 in the morning and Reed has to give it the next morning. It was like, we have to get this done and it's got to be awesome. Can't be like, good enough, go home. No, it's got to be awesome. This is life-changing. I could not believe they hadn't slept in days. They've been working 3 weeks on this thing. They were like exhausted, no complaining. They were super smart. Like it was weird because it was like, they had some other pieces they had to work on to give the jury all the evidence in paper form. Reed likes to give them paper, not just one person in the jury gets the computer. And now their voice is the only voice so Reed's practice is to do that. They're like trying to print 5 boxes of every piece of evidence organized in a way with labels and all that while helping us make the closing. Reed leaves at 3 a.m. because we're like, you should go because you're going to need a few hours and we're going to deliver it. They're going to deliver it to his hotel by like 6 in the morning so he can get it. Anyways. And Charlie and I have the closing up on the big screen and we've got our laptops. They come in with their laptops. They're trying to do something else, but be there in case we need them. And then we put something up and Charlie and I were exhausted. You had like a migraine headache. I had just testified that day. We haven't even really eaten. We have pasta they ordered for us was meatballs, but there's like was like one set of forks.
One fork for
We're
us
all
all.
eating the same pasta. It was like a trough of pasta and meatballs. We're
Yeah,
just
Nicole,
eating-
you would
there's
have not
no-
made it.
There's no
Nicole would be
cheese.
like, there's too many
It was like
carbs.
a mess. We're trying not to make a mess. We have papers everywhere, so we're all eating on the same trough. It was like insane. It was like 2 a.m. eating Italian, but it was delicious. It was cold. It was delicious. Great Italian down there. Anyway, so we're doing that. And we had some slides up and we're like a little bit like stressed and we're like, how do we explain this?
Little bit
It's
stressed.
a little bit, a lot stressed. And how do we make this make sense? And what format should it be in? Because Reed's like really particular about, oh my God. And all of a sudden, like Francesca was like, I think maybe if you said it this way, but then Elle's like, but actually you can't do that because you have to put this in. It's testimony. You have to cite this. It was so complicated, but they were tracking. They didn't seem nervous. They didn't seem, it was like, do you guys need anything? It was like, and I handed Elle one thing. I was like, I don't know how to do this slide. If you could actually work on this and figure out how to make that happen, like a general idea of that would be a great slide. Used AI. She's like, I'm almost done. She's working on it. Half an hour later, she produced this like beautiful slide. And I was like, holy crap. Anyway, all that to say I'm inspired and I would like to hire 2 really brilliant people, maybe interns, maybe full. I'm not sure what it is. Honestly, I have no idea. In New York, and then if you guys want in Boston, just to try this because I was really
So
really
prior to COVID, we had, a massive
impressed.
college recruiting thing for years. 10 plus years. We're talking over 10,000 college applicants a year for 10, 20 positions. We stopped post COVID and we're like, there's no way we're going to hire until we figure out some of the training.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm a little less impressed than Meghan was of the young talent there, but their work ethic and whatnot could not believe. And so it like kind of, we talked about it. We're like, I think it's worth trying to pick this back up and figure out not only on recruiting, but also how to train them. So which goes into this whole box of young leaders. We think the sweet spot is high school, college, new grads. And so, we know a gazillion people in the space. And so they all want help sort of figure out how do you train the young talent to basically be superior to even any talent out there, and what kind of modules and training. The thing on the left, June 2023, this is months before the whole investigation started with the government against us. We ran an event called the Big Problems Event. So it was a multi-day event, but we brought in almost like 40 speakers, including the former head of cybersecurity and the CIA and all these amazing people to talk about, this is in 2023 in June, how we have huge problems in the world. And it's called the Big Problems Event. We had big t-shirts and everything too. Amazing. And so we wanted to build a version 2 of that. And so we're thinking of calling it the Bigger Problem Event, right? A Bigger Problems Event, and make a 3-day event where the first day is all around finding a way to meet all these cool people. And it was like 300 plus people when we had it.
Yeah.
And then the second day is all around lectures and workshops of learning. And what we would do is we would oscillate these in the last Big Problems Event where you would have everyone congregate for a giant talk of the keynotes, but then break up into up to 9 different workshops running simultaneously, then come back for another keynote and then break up again. So it was going back and forth. It was really cool. But to do like a meet and then the learn is a full day of learning. And then the workshop is a day of all workshops. You can literally learn how to do all kinds of crazy cool stuff, whether it's for your body, whether it's for your mind and whatnot, which goes to the bottom right thing. We're going to have Greg and Weiwei teach us how to code with AI. And so we're going to kind of and then build a program to teach everybody how to basically use AI along with the human skill and just build anything. So you too can build 1 million downloaded, top 30 from the Apple App Store to anything you need. So that is a piece. And then up above that was HR departments. There's all this literature now. People are trying to fire entire HR departments. What's their future? All our clients are HR, so we want to crack that as well. Just the temporary list. We came back to work last Wednesday, so this will grow.
That's that.
But that was
We could take some questions, but I have to go to the bathroom. I don't know if anybody, if you want to stay on, we can take a few. Do you guys want to stay on or should we just talk here in New York? Anybody on the screen? Did you guys want to ask a few questions? If you do,
how about this?
stay on, but
How
I have to go
about
to the
2
bathroom.
questions from the group on screen? Because Megan has to go to the bathroom. She really has to go. So anybody have any fast questions? If you want to rapidly unmute and ask.
Or comment or reaction. Otherwise.
Yeah, comment.
I can make
So-
a comment. It's great to see
Okay.
you guys back on here. Hey, Steve. Hi. Missed you guys.
Miss you too.
Good to see you too, Steve.
What's your comment?
Just want to say,
Oh,
you missed
just
us.
I was saying hi. I missed you guys.
Oh.
It's kind of when there's something that you get so accustomed to doing, and then when it's gone, you realize how much you miss it.
Uh,
So, and it was hard hearing all the stuff you guys going through, like when you guys were talking back an hour or so ago. But yeah, I'm so happy for you guys and that you're back and missed you guys a ton. And so I was texting Greg the day that I found out the verdict and I mean, I was just so happy. I'm so glad you guys
Yeah.
are back.
No,
thank you,
Steve.
Thank
Thank you.
So,
Hey,
Yeah.
hey guys. So you're gonna take Lip to the next level with
oh, you,
teaching us how
you
to
have
do the
no
impossible.
idea, no idea, no idea.
You how to do the impossible. Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to break it down. I still don't. And Charlie has a lot more clarity on it. I don't. I
If
think
you
it's
have
gonna be-
anything that is easier than being the federal government for 32 months, we can probably help you do that.
That's awesome.
That's the state government.
Yeah,
The state government
sees.
maybe too. Okay.
As
Well,
even Pete said, he's like
Now
20.
we're gonna have to work. We're gonna have to work on cheating death.
Oh, cheating death.
Cheating death.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Well,
on the
no,
list
but
for
actually,
performance.
remember what Chef Danny would say? It's
Yeah.
not about like people are dying long.
Yeah, they're not
As a-
living longer.
they're not
just
living
dying
longer.
Yes.
There's a part
Just
of
living with
living
more
longer.
sickness.
And by the way, cheating death. So, Peter Gorman, Doc, he sent an amazing note after. He's like dying to get reappointed into all the work. He's always been about reversing kind of aging and getting younger, not even in the physical side, but just every aspect. So
Yeah.
we did a huge partnership for 6 months, years ago, all on that. So, I mean, the people we know that want to work on that stuff, yes. So,
And I would like to get 10 years back. I aged
Oh.
10 years.
oh,
I'd
and then
like
one of the
figure out
things we're
how
going to
get
try to
back
is crack
physically.
figuring out
Yeah.
how to turn white hair dark.
Yes.
We met actually, Aaron, your friend did it, but Danny
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
people. So we're going to figure that out. And for those of you who are spending
On the
like
list.
Nicole, like hundreds of dollars trying to get your hair, I'm assuming she has some white hair. Like we're going to figure that out.
Yeah,
So we will.
Solution for
he was
gray hair.
explaining to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you see the picture of Aaron when he was like younger. This guy was a freaking model.
I can see
Now
why
he's
you're
got the
going
gray hair
over
and whatnot. No, and that's
like
what
he was the hottest guy in the
Yeah,
bar, and then I'm like, he's a good looking guy, but I don't.
I'm
and then I
working
saw-
on becoming a geriatric model.
I don't even know who the competitors are in that field,
Sure.
but I assume you can start off in a
So-
pretty top 10 list before you even start.
Rich Mason, I need you to come to New York City.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd be able to come out in July for real? He's unmuting.
Yeah. Let's just say yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
I want to come out. I want to come out. So I've been wanting to come out for a long time. I'll send you guys an email later on. Explain a few
Okay.
things.
We need you to.
But
We need.
I want to come out. Thank you for today. Thank you for the advice for the past 3 years because I haven't. No, I didn't know what was going on in the background to this level, but you
Yeah.
still gave advice. You still helped. The advice that you give and have helped me in the past 3 years. Oh my goodness me! Yet you've been managing all of this, which is just insane. Yet you still help day after day after day after day.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
absolute warriors.
No.
And the odds,
Thank
the
you.
odds against you, having listened to that today, the odds against you, yet you've just punched on through. That is just unbelievable. And what they
Thank you.
did to you was just disgusting.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
No,
Amazing.
no,
Amazing.
Rich, for those of you who don't know, Mod is the Ministry of Defense. So this is the UK military. He was one of the top leaders we met. When we met the 4-star head of UK Navy, a 2-star, I think, was like out for that day. So they put Rich in as a replacement for that meeting. It was like a huge team of people, like a 4-hour meeting. And so
Yeah.
that's how we met Rich. And then, we've helped coach and help him, and he's risen up. And
Email us every week some kind of
Yeah.
inspirational thing as we're going through the fight, like something
Yes.
that has like the military lingo with it. And because by the way, you're the only military people I'm not working with the U.S. military anytime soon. And I'm on the edge with any kind of military, but because of you, Richard, I'm like, we're open-minded here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
like-
guys are royal, so it's like, let's hope that there's not like scumbags.
except we got the 3-star general coming out to Vegas with us, and then
Sure.
in the Air
Yeah,
Force.
but I'm not working.
And then
I'm
we're
not
always
doing
working
work.
too.
Wow.
But
You know what I mean?
no, it was cool. As soon as he won, we got a note from the former vice chief of the Air Force, the 4-star, we got to spend a lot of time with. And then the current, like, senior most enlisted of the Air Force wrote in saying, "Oh my God, I need all your help and leadership. Can we come and run our stuff?" So we haven't responded back to him, but Yeah, no, there's a,
No, I think there's just what you're saying, and then we'll close out with this is in the lip class. Like, I think there's windows, like, Richard, where I was like, why are we doing this? Like, we don't have anything to give. Like, we're empty and we're stressing about a free leadership class every week. Like, so many more things we should be doing. But I do actually feel like it kept us healthier mentally, and because it forced us to focus on this, as opposed to you could just drown in your issues and sorrow, and then you feel even worse about yourself because you're like not making any dent in anything or making any progress. So like, it's kind of like exercising and eating healthy. When you're down, you're like, why? It's really hard to motivate to do it. This was one of those things, but I'm so grateful that we did. Like what we, through COVID too. It
Yeah.
felt like, why are we doing this?
yeah, I mean, literally, we got
going
like
through this was like
2 years ago, we got arrested on a Friday. We taught lip on the following Thursday.
yeah,
And and we didn't know if we would continue, but we just chose.
yeah.
And then you make that one choice, then you do it again, you did it again.
Stick to it. Yes.
And it's like, I think what we ended up doing is we upped the tempo of what was required to perform as a human being.
Mhm.
And so we grew into that upped tempo, the upped goal.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that made us better and stronger. And like, the thing that I remember Jim Lear, all the time we spent with him, and he was always saying that he spent so many time in number ones in the world. And he always said that there's one thing that I've seen as a pattern in number ones that you do not see in number 2, 3, 4, 5, everyone below. Everyone below this number 2 golfer in the world, the number 2 firefighter, the number 2, whatever it might be. You find that they always make these massive trade-offs. To be really good at work, they give up life. To be really this, they give up that. There's always trade-offs. And so everything is about trade-offs. But what he saw consistently in number ones was they killed it on everything. And so he couldn't understand, like, why is it same 24 hours? And as we spent more time with him, as we met a lot of these number ones, the real nuance is routine. Routine and engineering the routine correctly. And a routine is almost like a little micro workout every day.
Yeah.
If you engineer that micro workout, which is constantly upgrading and improving, it's a never done routine.
Yeah.
You can elevate to a level where you can literally kill it across everything, even in the worst
It's
times.
probably because, to your point, it's like what you were saying. You either have the skill or you don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's
the skill is
across everything in your life, and so it's looking for that conflict. And I was just maybe we can end up. We yesterday, Charlie and I, and then last night, this morning, I had some conversation. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in my own head and like what I learned the most. And it's fascinating because we talked about this idea of a live stream and this idea before the trial. So we didn't talk about that today, but this idea of a live stream of communication constantly, I do think it's very similar to a visceral draft. You need to be able to see what is in your head. And I wrote down earlier, and I didn't say it, is that I wrote, no amount feels like enough. You're never done. And if you feel like you've done enough, there's more. And I think that's what we learned through the trial. What were we viscerally drafting the 7 days before our trial? Everything. And it's like, and I remember there was a window in the trial. I was like, I'm so glad we talked about this. But I didn't know this would come up, but we thought maybe it does. And you're kind of glad you've already thought about it a little bit so that you're not fully startled. Maybe you still have a little bit of, okay, it's happening, but you're a little bit more prepared now. You've thought through a little bit more. So you're like, it's tied to like preparedness, but it's unknown. So how do you do that? Yeah.
I have a question around, you mentioned that this graphic was like the looking around corners. I'm not quite connected on that. Is it just putting what's in your head? I think this is what's happening and this is all the things that's leading you.
So first there's an element where until you run it enough, you'll never quite understand what it means. Because I think where the mind goes is just rudimentary understandings of it. Are you just making a goal? Are you just making a prediction? And so it's very rudimentary versus what you'll see when you rep it enough is that the human mind is just doing it by default. We're always actually looking around corners, whether you realize or not.
Yeah.
I can tell you're already thinking what will happen immediately following this. You might not be that conscious of it, but that's how we operate. The mind is just doing it automatically. So when you get repped and realize, wait, I can do it more intentionally, I can do it more deliberately, I can actually refine the strengths of it and then reduce the faults of it and then find teammates that can help on it, changes the whole game. And so to
me, I feel like there's the mental chatter piece, which we always have, and we all have it.
Which is part of your live stream.
Okay. It's part of your live stream. And then there's what do I want to do and get done?
But
I think most people underdo the mental chatter scan. What is actually happening to me right now before I come up here for lip? before I come up for dinner last night, I said to Charlie, I'm like, I had like, you had to have had last night. We haven't had dinner with them on a Wednesday night. What's it going to be? But nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
You should talk about it.
But
You should talk about it. You should talk about it. It's like, why are you not talking? Because it's happening. And then you should, am I scared? Am I nervous? An ego? Am I forcing something? Like you have to actually, but I think nobody wants to talk about it because it's like, well, I'm just going to go and hope that, it's like,
but I can't tell you,
But then
there's
you
so many,
can't
sorry,
overthink it.
there's so many nuances.
it's like
If
this-
you think
yeah.
it's about getting permission to just the mental chatter out loud, that's like seeing
No,
someone
that's
throw up.
selfish. Yeah, you can't.
That to me is an alcoholic throwing up every day in front of your face. And I'm like, it's disgusting. Get out of my face. Right. So you have to realize like it is really ugly to start and messy, but as you get better at it, like you will see like that there is a purpose to it. There's a goal to it. You're not just throwing up so I can show you who can more flower up their mental chatter, but it's like I'm navigating life. So I am trying to win. I'm trying to accomplish in life. Like the fact that I woke up today should matter as opposed to like, well, I could have just combed through the whole day and it wouldn't have mattered. Like, which happens a lot. So that intentionality and then compounding every day through that, there's a way to do it better. Every day led better will add up to be better. And so that notion, like even the live stream is a key part. When you find the right teammates, we fought a lot. You can imagine 4 weeks in DC, the stress and level, but I'd be like, Meghan, it's almost like your live stream is off.
You would think,
Your
going
live stream is
down an elevator, like, oh, you're not talking. I'm like, I have to go to the bath. I don't know. It's like I'm not talking, and then I realized, shit, I do have stuff going on in my head, and but I have to dig for it.
It's almost like a green light. I'm like, why the hell is your live stream not on?
And be like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking right now? What are you thinking right now? And then you know what I realized too? I'm like, oh my God, I actually did have a bunch of thoughts that went through when I was in the shower. Or I meant to talk about this with Charlie, but I forget by the time I put my makeup on, get my clothes, come out to the elevator. Now we're in the Uber on the way to court. And I'm like, shit, I did have stuff, but I'm not practiced at. I need to talk to him about that when I get ready. It's like my live stream will just, I'm waiting for something to happen and then be like, oh, it's like to get used to, no, there's stuff happening and I need to process it. I'm either predicting something that's going to happen today or something we need to do after court tonight, or I should be sharing that. Right. But I'm not.
Steve made a comment. It's like a pregame check.
Yeah.
My visceral reaction is hell no.
Okay.
And the reason is this, unlike sports games, there's a game every freaking minute and you don't know next minute if it's an actual game or not. So meaning games are easier because it has a start time and an end time and you can get ready for it pre-game. But like, how do you know if there's going to be a game like in an hour? It immediately after it's done. And so the notion of just this, you'll start to realize the speed that our mind works and then the amount of power it has. It's almost like both humbling, but also empowering. And so we've been telling Greg and Weiwei, like even the last like offsite we had, it was like, with Weiwei, you need to turn on your live stream. The fact that it's not turned on. And what do we usually do? Well, my live stream acts kind of like AI or ChatGPT. I wait for your prompt and stuff before I kind of respond, as opposed to that's not how it works. Your live stream started the minute you woke up, right? And your live stream is your own stream, not like my stream based on what you want to talk about, and knowing how to capture that and to find value and hone that.
Right.
That's the first step.
If you wait for someone else constantly, now you don't have your own point of view. You're trying to figure out what they want you to do.
Yeah, that's not a live stream. That's literally the garbage that comes out of ChatGPT, right? I mean, that's not a live stream, right? That's not you. That is literally the sum total of everything in the internet condensed through billions of, data center power. All right. Okay. We have to go bathroom.
For the prior.
Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna,
So
I don't know.
we'll chat more at lunch. You guys, great seeing you guys.
Good to see
Enjoy.
everybody.
Okay. And we'll have a battle if this should go live or not.
Not next week.
But-
Yeah, we'll see
Okay.
you. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we get enough about that.
Okay. Sure. I'll go down with you, Tim.
Oh, it's cool. You want to go down?
I mean, I was going to go.
I have so many questions.
Well, we can talk.